Great screen for the screener. Jared Butler for three.
Welcome to SicEm365 Radio.
Meyer down low on a great thread through from Mitchell.
SicEm365 Radio is presented by IdealMRI.com. High-quality MRIs for $497 or less. IdealMRI.com. Your health is important, so is your budget.
After winning the Big 12 regular season championship on Tuesday, oh my, a hammer from Butler.
The 3 o'clock hour is sponsored by Waco Custom Marketplace. Meats, sweets, Texas treats, and a cut above the rest. 425 Lake Air Drive, Waco.
Backdoor, Meyer stuffs it home.
Have you downloaded the SicEm365 Radio app? Do it today on the App Store and Google Play.
Like, the whole reason we started the competition of, like, who can get more dunks is because I said, like, you'll never, ever dunk on somebody. You'll be lucky if you get, like, 1 or 2 dunks this season, wide open, fast break. And he's already got 4, and I know that because we're keeping close track. But I had a dunk today, too, and it doesn't count because if he lobs it to me, it doesn't count. And my one last game doesn't count either. So, I mean, as happy as I am that it was a great play, I'm also not happy that he's getting closer to my lead, so...
Now, here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
All right, here we go. And, boy, great job, Paul, on the open, from highlights from last night's win against Oklahoma State to what makes this team so special. And also, oh, by the way, let me see. I got to go. Which way do I have to go here? Here we go. Also, oh, by the way, it's a lot different when you win, isn't it? The post-press conference Zooms are different. I thought Scott Drew yesterday was a little low-key after the game, but the stories that we have to tell, some explaining to do on some of the insights of the post-game from Jared Butler, Matthew Meyer, and also what you just heard, that he and Jared Butler had 2 dunks last night, and it kind of like, what was he doing? Which means his legs are back, feeling good in the competition that he and Matthew Meyer have. And, Paul, there's a lot of Matthew Meyer to discuss today. The good... and really why, what's going on here? The good, and also what also happened. Why did he all of a sudden turn on the Jets following a 5-minute 0-for-1, no-point performance against Kansas? Your thoughts about what you saw? That was kind of wasn't that Baylor almost to a T who they've been for every game but Kansas and Iowa State? Maybe that, of course, overtime with West Virginia.
Yeah, but they were that team. Like, look, they were the same team against West Virginia. West Virginia was just better. I mean, one of the better teams that they played. So, you know, that was just bound to happen. Yeah. They were who they were last night, and they were who they were the entire game. And they I sent you a text. That's who they are. Like, teams will make runs, and they'll get back. Oklahoma State got within 4 because Cade Cunningham got drunk with just, you know, making shots. But, you know, it was like they expected it. Look, they knew, I'm sure they knew that to win the game, they had to hold Cade Cunningham for at least a half, which they did in the first half. He was not a factor in the slightest in the first half. But in the second half, you know, you cannot, guys like that, you just know that the law of averages you can't hold down. I think Scott Drew and staff learned that about R.J. Hunter in the worst possible way in the NCAA tournament a few years ago. So they know, like, you cannot hold a guy like that down for too long, but if you contain him for long enough, you can win the game. And then they just were who they were. You know, Jared Butler was Jared Butler. Maceo Teague was, you know, he's kind of fallen because Matthew Meyer gets so much attention because of kind of the boisterous nature of Matthew Meyer. Maceo Teague kind of fades into the background. We don't talk about him enough, but he is as an important part of this team as anybody is. You know, Davion Mitchell gets a lot of talk, but Maceo Teague's really good on defense. Maceo Teague is really good from long range, going to the rim, shooting free throw, like everything you want. Maceo Teague is that too. He's fallen into the background a little bit. He was fantastic last night.
Yeah, he was. All right, what we're going to do here, Craig is going to be back, we hope, on Monday. He's out of pocket right now, but Craig and Paul and David Smoak here with you. Paul Catalina, Armstrong Sims, the genius, the studio genius is, you know, we went almost 2.5 hours yesterday, and I'm texting both Armstrong and Paul back and forth. I mean, he's producing this show, and without him, there is no show. And 2.5 hours into the show, I'm like begging for attention from Armstrong. And Paul, what was this? Finally, 2.5 hours into the show, what was this 4-letter word with a question mark?
He was like, "What?
What?"
Here's the deal.
Armstrong.
I think here's the deal. Armstrong responds to my tweets because I'm not thirsty like you are.
Oh, there he is. Armstrong, good to hear from you. God almighty. I mean, seriously, was it something I said? Is it or just me? I'm just annoying. I'm a nuisance, and I'm just a pain in the ass.
It wasn't something you said. It was that you were saying something.
Oh, okay. I mean, that's 3 hours. I'm about to say a lot of things. I tell you what, a couple of things I want to tell you again. I mentioned this a couple of times yesterday. I know everyone was focused on Oklahoma State and Baylor. Colt Barber, through the advice or at least the suggestion of one of our audience, one of our SicEm365.com premium section posters, members, there's now a game day thread section that's separate from all the others. That doesn't mean there won't be game day threads, but it's kind of like, you get to the end of the week or you get to where there's a women's game, a men's game, a post game, and all that. And it can get awfully crowded at the top, which is a good thing because we're feeding the machine and feeding you and feeding the animal that you expect from us and why you pay the premium access to us on the site. And so there's a game day section now, and I thought it worked out pretty well yesterday. By the way, Ashley and J.D., great to have the post game. I was watching some of that last night after the win against Oklahoma State. So here's what we're going to do. There's a lot of behind-the-scenes stories. One, we will hear from Rob Dowser, the field-of-68.com, college basketball analyst. Jason King at 5:30, another analyst, join us today. Grayson's at 3:45 today. And then also John Machota on the Cowboys. He'll join us. We had to push him back from Wednesday. He's on today with us as well. You see the lineup, but there's a lot to discuss, and some of you have already hit us up on the Riverbend Liquor and Wine text line. Scotty, Daniel, and Steven. I got to start with this one. Steven, my God, hoping and praying for you all to get better soon. I'm finally out of the hospital, so I hope you all can get better soon. I didn't even know you were in the hospital, Steven. God bless you. We're glad you're okay. And he said that, I said, why are you in the hospital? He was having anxiety that he was constantly throwing up.
Oh man, that's not good.
There's two. You throw, if you're throwing up, you're not breathing things back in. So God Almighty, hey, Stephen, I hope you don't mind me. I hope I didn't just ruin HIPAA, but you're one of ours, man. You're family. All of you are family. So that's that. That's that. Now, Paul, Matthew Meyer, he's team heartburn, right?
He is. Well, and he has been because he came. I'm trying to compare another player to him in the Scott Drew era, and it wasn't like Matt Meyer's not an immature guy in the sense that Rico Gathers was really kind of immature when he got to Scott Drew, and that's to be expected when you're 18.
Yeah.
I think he was someone who, because of the way that basketball works and the kind of talent that he had, he never really had to be coached. If you're 6'7", 6'8" in high school basketball and you can shoot all over the place, did it matter when he was at Austin Westlake that he could play defense or rebound all that efficiently? Like, how many guys was he going to go up against that were really going to show him down, even at the 6A level? It wasn't going to happen that often.
Is he a Colt or a thoroughbred? Is he still a Colt? Didn't he have to break a Colt?
I think he's getting into that era.
He's getting into Secretariat. He's almost.
It's when they're 3 years old, though, right?
Yeah. No, I know.
So I mean, that's a really good analogy. So. And you got to break a horse, right? He was that guy that they had to break all he ever wanted to do was shoot the ball. And I think this coaching staff, and you'll hear from him a little bit, and you have a lot more backstory on that, about how some of it, he had to kind of implore them to trust him a little bit, but they had to make him love all of basketball. And I think that they've really done a good job with that, of making him realize that basketball is not just you shooting 3-pointers and people coming up to you going, "Oh, that was great, Matt." That's not what it is. basketball is everything, and he's doing everything right now. You heard the numbers from Jay Billis over his 40-minute numbers are unfreaking believable. So the problem is sometimes it takes him a while to get to those 40 minutes.
Well, so we have 3 audio clips from last night. Some of you have already listened to it, but want to break it down and tell you why maybe Matthew Meyer said what he said. This is 254-339-1122. It's a Friday. We've got 4 guests, maybe 5 coming up. I'm not sure yet. If you text us today, 254-339-1122, which some of you have, and some of you have already texted us before. I have, and I know some of you are out of town like Stevens in Virginia, but if you're in the vicinity and you are close to a Fuddruckers burger shop, a Fuddruckers restaurant, Colleen, Waco, Bryan, College Station, and a few other places as well. If, in fact, you text us today, whether we read it or not, and we will do everything we can to read it, and then you send me your mailing address, I'm going to send you a free burger to Fuddruckers. Now, again, if you live in Oklahoma, I think there's one in Tulsa. They might accept that. And in fact, there is one in Tulsa. Mickey Rogers will probably honor it. But I want to do that today. It's a Friday. Let's have fun. All right, so the first chunk is long. We're going to play Matthew Meyer's postgame. Listen to a lot of what he has to say because he's bounced back from 5 minutes, 0 for 1, didn't play basically was just non-existent against Kansas. And he wasn't the only one. And then we're going to stop and then play back a part of it and then give you some insight on what he was talking about with a meeting that he discusses with a coach and also his maturity level. Here's Matthew Meyer following the Oklahoma State win for Baylor that, again, now 1 game away from wrapping up what would be their first ever unbeaten home schedule since back in the late 40s when they played for a national championship.
Matt, after that big win on Tuesday, what did you guys do or say in the locker room to make sure everyone stayed super focused and not get complacent heading into this one?
Well, Coach Drew was just telling us, we have a checklist of things to do that we want to accomplish this season, and one of them is go undefeated at home. So, and we've never done that before, so this will be a great opportunity, and we want to leave a legacy as the best team Baylor's ever had. So, and also we're just competitive guys. We're not just going to come in and just let somebody beat us. So,
You had that 3 you hit in the middle of the zone in the first half where they almost stole the ball and you went up. Kind of in that situation, why did you feel like the 3 was the most effective shot, given that you did make it?
Well, I was in the middle of the zone. I just backed out. The dude came, and then Cade was on me, and then he just kind of backed up, and I was wide open. So it's a no-brainer.
Matt, I know you live with Jared. He had those 2 dunks, including that one that seemed to be his best one ever. Kind of what was it like to see him hit those dunks tonight?
I mean, I want to see my reaction from it, but that, the whole reason we started the competition of, who can get more dunks is because I said, you'll never, ever dunk on somebody. You'll be lucky if you get, 1 or 2 dunks this season, wide open, fast break. And he's already got 4, and I know that because we're keeping close track. But I had a dunk today, too, and it doesn't count because if he lobs it to me, it doesn't count. And my one last game doesn't count either. So, I mean, as happy as I am that it was a great play, I'm also not happy that he's getting closer to my lead, so.
Oh, I don't know if I want to follow that up. We could just end it right there. Matthew, what is it like, the groove you're in right now, and why now? You've had games before, but you seem to be in such an incredible stretch.
Well, I mean, last game, after the Kansas game, I had a real talk with Coach Drew and about playing time because I played 5 minutes, including garbage time. And, I laid everything on the table I wanted to say. And, he really listened to me, and he left me in for some mistakes in the West Virginia game. And I really appreciated that. And then he's letting me play through more stuff today. And I think it's really just, I think I've always been a good player. It's just, coming in cold, it takes a little bit for you to get into it. And now when I get to play a couple more minutes and get in a groove, it just feels a lot better. So I appreciate the coaching staff for that.
We mentioned this a few weeks back about the free throws you were going to shoot and you didn't, and then you went back and shot them after a practice early in the year. How much more mature are you as a player, as a teammate than you were perhaps last year?
I mean, it's night and day. I had a pretty big confrontation with Coach Tang right before the Kansas State game, and that was really a switch flip for me. And since then, I've been trying to keep myself in check, but that was like a moment that I'll be able to look back to and be like, that moment right there was when I decided to become like a good basketball player, like for real. So I've come a long way in that sense.
All right. I sat down and put everything on the table with Coach Drew. I had a pretty intense conversation or confrontation with Jerome Tang. We had told that story. That's the free throw story. He was supposed to shoot him. He walked out of practice. He came back, and even Coach Tang's discussed that. I think even it might have been, I'm not sure if it was Coach Jacobs or somebody else that also mentioned that as well. But, Paul, let's go back to Saturday. 5 minutes. 5 minutes. 0 for 1. Why did he not? And I've kind of shared a little bit, but I haven't shared it all with you. Why 5 minutes, 0 for 1, and they needed everything they could get on Saturday? Why did you initially think he had 5 minutes and that's it?
Well, I'll just tell you, I mean, like their status quo with him has been, you do what we tell you to do or you come out. That was kind of, and that's been for his entire, like, that's what they're trying to do. Again, we use the, you got to break those horses. And that's what they're trying to do with him. You heard him say that he's had, trouble wrapping his arms around completely what they wanted him to do. And it took him, having a dust up with Coach Tang, which I can't imagine getting so mad at a guy so easygoing. And I can get mad. You've seen it. Yeah. But like, even then, like you get it, like he's so easygoing. But part of that is like, sometimes you have to get all those emotions out so somebody can kind of put the mirror back on you. And that's kind of the mastery of this coaching staff and what they, that like, you can't say much that's going to faze them. When it comes to, I think you guys should be doing this or that, but they also listen. They also listen quite a bit with their players.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what. No, Jerome Tang's got a little fire now. I'm telling you.
But like,
so here's what's happened. Here's the story of Kansas, because I thought he had COVID, and he didn't. I thought that do you realize that with 13:04 left in the first half, he picked up his second foul? What do most coaches, not all, but what do most coaches do if you pick up a second foul, no matter if there's 18 minutes left or 4 minutes left in the first half?
You're going to sit down.
You're done.
Yeah.
Because that third one's deadly, and then you kind of mess up the rotation of minutes. So he picked up his second foul with 13:04 to go in the first half. So there's 13 minutes where he would have been a part of that, maybe a third of it or a half of it, right?
Yeah.
But here's another thing. And then we're going to get to that Saturday, and then what turned the table? Coach Tang, they pulled him out because of that, and then they start the second half. And I don't know what Coach Tang tried to explain this a little bit. He went by what he was seeing, which part of the game, and maybe from also Matthew. So he basically just got out of the rotation with him. And that can happen too. It's coaches also sometimes get caught up in the moment, caught up in whatever. Maybe another guy's hot, so he plays an extra minute or two. So that was really the 0 for 1, 5 minutes. And it was like he in the doghouse. The two fouls, that's 13 minutes, possibly half or a third of that would have been playing time there. So now you're looking at 8 to 10, 12 minutes. So what happened is he goes and sits down with Coach Drew, and I put this up on the board, I think it was last night, and a lot of people were like, oh, he's demanding more minutes. Because, everyone thinks not everyone, part 50-50 is like red states, blue states with him, that he's dripping with talent. He should play more. And there's also, yes, he's dripping with talent, but you got to do all, like you said, all the other things along the way to earn your playing time. It's kind of like the quarterback room for Baylor last year. What was going on, we don't know, but, we always wondered. So he sits down with Coach Drew. Not all coaches would have done this. Some coaches would have said, screw you. Some players would have gotten to be a malcontent. Some players would have sulked, right? Sits down with Coach Drew and tells him, playing 5 minutes was not fair. Even with the two fouls and even with whatever else. And Coach Drew and Matthew Meyer, they talked this out. And so now let's fast forward to Tuesday at West Virginia. West Virginia was kind of starting to dictate the second half. Would you agree? They were up even by, double digits, I think, at one point, or maybe it was 9 or 10. during the West Virginia game when it was 60-55, and right after Matthew Meyer had a foul and also gave up an offensive rebound, Coach Tang looked down to the bench, was about to bring Flo Thamba in the game to replace Matthew Meyer. Mm-hmm. It's also possibly a part of the minutes, the rotation. Flo Thamba, I'm being told, said, no, coach, Matthew Meyer, is going to be all right. Let him play through this. I'm good. How unselfish was that for Flo Thamba? And that was at the 10:26 mark. Baylor then cut the lead, I think, to one. It was Dak 2, 3, 4, most of the rest for about an extra 4 or 5 minutes. And then what happened, Paul? Matthew Meyer scored 10 consecutive points and went off.
Well, you and I were talking during the game, you and Craig and I said, this is not one of his better offensive games at this point. And then right after I said that, I wonder if us talking about that on the show and that moment of Flo Thamba, like he's about to get pulled out, kind of intersected a little bit in that, not in saying cosmic, but like you could see it during the game. It was like, he's hustling. I mean, he's going, like he's making big defensive plays and he's putting it all out there, but he wasn't making good offensive decisions. And then he got raging hot. So
absolutely did.
Yeah.
Now, this is a story of a young man, and he said this in the comment. We're going to play it again. 254-339-1122. Want your feedback on this. One, that Matthew Meyer was like, okay, I need to clear the air. There's nothing wrong with that if you do it the right way. And there's a lot to be said about Scott Drew meeting with him and trying to, Scott knows he's talented. And in the postgame last night when someone said, hey, what do you see from Matthew Meyer? Hell, we all see and that's what he said. Whatever you're seeing, he's really playing well. He is dripping with talent, and at the time, he also has to be, you throw the lure out and you get a bite, and sometimes you got to bring it back in. So here is Matthew Meyer, not the entire 3-minute chunk. I just put this up on Twitter, by the way. We're breaking down Matthew Meyer's surge the past week and why. Pretty good insight on 0 for 1, 5 minutes against Kansas, and why is he now doing what he's done this past week. And also, let's give him a nickname. Let's try to give Matthew Meyer, there's a lot of people that give him a lot of nicknames. Some of them we can put on the radio, some of them we can't. Mine is Team Prilosec. That's mine because of the heartburn he can give you as a fan or a coach, and yet the heartburn he can give Bob Huggins, who didn't even know his name in the postgame. Paul, remember that?
Called him the white guy.
The white guy.
What do you call him?
The white guy.
The white guy.
No, you do your Bob Huggins on that.
I don't know. His name is the white guy. I can't remember his name right now.
You're talking too loud.
Later.
That's not, yeah.
He does the name of the white guy. He comes in, and that's what he is.
See, you just went straight Godfather on me. So here's Matthew Meyer. This is about what's going on with him, because he was all fired up, and he should be. He's playing fantastic. He's a lightning rod player for Baylor men's basketball and the fan base. Here's the part that we just broke down. Listen to this again if you don't mind.
Matthew, what is it like, the groove you're in right now, and why now? You've had games before, but you seem to be in such an incredible stretch.
Well, I mean, last game, after the Kansas game, I had like a real talk with Coach Drew and about playing time, because I played 5 minutes, including garbage time. And, I laid everything on the table I wanted to say. And, he really listened to me, and he left me in for some mistakes in the West Virginia game. And I really appreciated that. And then he's letting me play through more stuff like today. And I think it's really just, I think I've always been a good player. It's just, coming in cold, it takes a little bit for you to get into it. And now when I get to play a couple more minutes and get in a groove, it just feels a lot better. So I appreciate the coaching staff for that.
We mentioned this a few weeks back about the free throws you were going to shoot and you didn't, and then you went back and shot them after a practice early in the year. How much more mature are you as a player, as a teammate, than you were perhaps last year?
It's night and day. I had a pretty big confrontation with Coach Tang right before the Kansas State game, and that was really like a switch flip for me. And since then, I've been trying to keep myself in check. But that was like a moment that I'll be able to look back to and be like, that moment right there was when I decided to become like a good basketball player, like for real. So I've come a long way in that sense.
Think about that. A pretty big confrontation with Coach Tang right before the Kansas State game. I sat down and cleared the air, put everything on the table with Coach Drew. Now, listen, they play Sunday against Texas Tech. That's their last game of the regular season. And he's capable of, kind of having another bad game. But he is, I think you ride that colt. Now, you don't lose your rotation because of all the people in front of him, Paul. We're going to hear from one of those thoroughbreds and Jared Butler in a minute. He was fantastic yesterday as well. But when you listen to that again and you hear what he has to say, how honest is he there? It's incredibly honest.
Yeah. I mean, he wear, like, I think that's the thing about him is he wears his emotions on his sleeve. I mean, he's authentic. What everything about Matt Meyer is exactly who he is. It's not, sometimes you see these guys that have like this made up persona about him, like they have like a wall around him. And part of that, I don't think you can exist in the Coach Drew universe if you're not authentic. You just can't do it because
true universe.
You can't. I mean, how could you do it? I mean, everybody around is always authentic. Like you are what you are. Yeah. And like, you have to embrace that. I think that's why people like playing for him, because he doesn't try to make you something you're not. They try to correct your flaws. So you're going to be what you're going to be. And that's been the case all the time. Like, back, like there was a time I remember my friends and I would talk about, because the team wasn't really that good on defense, but he was getting the players who could come here and help them win. And one of the things that was our theory was, look, he probably tells them, like, look, I'm not going to make you play a style that's not in your, like, you're going to get to be you. And people got comfortable, and then that like helped him build. Like he knew all along the way what he was going to have to do. He never compromised his ethics to do anything. It was just, this is what I have to do, and I have to coach my way around this.
All right, when we come back, a stat about the free throws, because last night, they closed well with the free throws, but a stat that Jay Billis brought up that blew my mind, and maybe have to text David K. Also, you are fired away at the text line 254-339-1122 with a nickname from Matthew Meyer, mine is Team Prilosec, and also feedback from you on the forums. When we come back, we hear from what could be the best player in college basketball and should be the Big 12 Player of the Year, and he was really good last night, and Jared Butler. This is SicEm365 Radio. Waco Custom Marketplace. If, in fact, you were fortunate enough to get your order in for live crawfish sacks, it's 30-pound live crawfish sacks for $4.25 a pound. If you got your order in before Wednesday at 6, you were able to, after 2 o'clock today, go by and pick them up. 1 bag, 10 bags, whatever you're doing, whether it's something you're going to host in your backyard or on your patio, your deck, whatever, or, I don't know, obviously having fun with the crawfish. And the crawfish boil, I love crawfish boils. Don't get to go to many of them. I don't really know how to do one very well, but when you have the combination of the crawfish and the shrimp and then the sausage, if it's right, and the mushrooms and the corn, it's fantastic. 30-pound live crawfish sacks for $4.25 a pound. You have to get your order in the Waco Custom Marketplace by 6 o'clock on Wednesdays. Then you can pick them up after 2 o'clock Friday or anytime they're open on Saturday. So let's say you got your order in and you went by there today. You're smiling after 2. Or you didn't get it today, you go by there tomorrow. But you have to order the live crawfish sacks, 30-pound bags of live crawfish sacks, $4.25 a pound. Man, it's fantastic. 425 Lake Air Drive, Waco Custom Marketplace.
At Baylor University, students find their place to shine. They're faithful friends and inspirational leaders. They're championship teammates and independent thinkers. They're on the cutting edge of high tech and in the halls of history. If you want to make the world a brighter place, you can. And if you want to shine in your own way, you can. The spark you need is already inside you. Bring it to Baylor, where lights shine bright.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm, welcome home.
At
Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be a part of the Waco community. We're a small family business right here in Central Texas, and our goal is to bring down the cost of healthcare while maintaining high quality. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important, and unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. That's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through the difficult time. We offer premium MRIs just like a hospital with state-of-the-art technology and specialists, but you'll pay less. Sometimes thousands of dollars less, whether you're using insurance or not. At Ideal MRI, we accept most insurance and there are no hidden costs, even offering financing if that's needed. Everything included in the price, and you'll not get something as a surprise in the mail later on. If you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. They'll know. You can schedule an appointment safely from home online in minutes at idealmri.com or give us a call, 833-IDEAL-MRI, idealmri.com.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible challenge. Hi, this is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like First Free Checking, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. The First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Get the vehicle you've been dreaming about at the President's Day event at Allen Samuels. The 2020 Dodge Charger SXT, ranked #1 in initial quality and driver appeal, has special values of $6,170 or 0% for 72 months, plus $3,000 in combo cash. The 2020 Dodge Charger is at the forefront of muscle car design. From the body to the wheels, it continues to impress. Visit the customer award-winning Allen Samuels, located at 201 West Loop 340 in Waco, to see the 2020 Dodge Charger SXT. See dealer for details. All offers have credit requirements.
In Texas, there's pea-size hail and baseball-size hail. Guess which one hit our house? We didn't even know where to begin, but we called our Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent, and he was so reassuring. He knew exactly what to do to get our house back into shape and our lives back to normal. Now, we're even more thankful for the roof over our heads.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
This is SicEm365 Radio. Text us at 254-339-1122. The SicEm365 Radio text line is sponsored by Riverbend Liquor and Wine, with the most extensive variety of craft beer in Waco. A hidden gem on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street.
From our good friend D. Carter299 on Twitter, there is zero doubt Matthew's nickname must be Shaggy.
Shaggy.
He put a picture up of Shaggy.
Zoink Scoob.
Yeah. Also,
I'll tell you, he is the kind of guy who I would think would fight with a dog over a sandwich. Because that's what Shaggy used to do.
Yeah. No. He wants the ball.
I could see Matt Meyer deciding that in his off time he would like to drive around in a van with 3 other people and a dog and solve mysteries.
All right, from Scotty, our good friend who's everywhere with news. He shares a lot of the news, not just even if it's baseball or basketball or football or tennis. We love Scotty. Had the big win. The men had a big win at Wake Forest. They haven't lost there very often. They play Arizona State on Sunday at home. Scotty, mine would be Dr. Jekyll or Mr. Hyde, depending on how he plays, and that pretty much sums it up. Okay, Paul, real quick free throw note. We'll have Grayson today at 3:45. The fans are clamoring about the foul difference. And, West Virginia's got 32 free throws. Baylor shot 13 or 14. But when you don't make them, it doesn't do you any good if you go parade to the free throw line. They were one time yesterday 4 of 10 at the line. Then they went 8 for 8 down the stretch against West Virginia. They didn't get many opportunities, but you know what? They hit the clutch ones. I think Davion Mitchell, and then I think it was Flagler, right? Yeah. That sealed the game. Then Jay Billis threw out this bomb, and then we hear for Jared. Baylor is 200, and I thought he said 336. There are only 350 Division I basketball teams. 296 out of 350 in free throw field goal ratio. They're 232 in the country free throw percentage at 68.7. That's too low. 232nd in the country when it comes to free throw differential based on your opponent. For example, West Virginia has shot 581 free throws. Baylor, I lost my track here. Baylor has shot like just under 400.
Well, part of that, and he explained that, is like, look, this team takes a lot of outside shots, so, I mean, you're not going to foul somebody on a three-pointer all that often. It doesn't happen, all that much. Fouls happen down low. That's where they happen.
Even if Boston has 478, and I know they don't have, all right, Texas Tech 546, Oklahoma State 508. Arizona leads the country. They played a couple extra games. 623. Baylor's like under 400. Yeah. So you're right, though. But the free throw percentage has to get better.
But on the other, I'm just saying that's why they don't have a lot of free throws, overall number of free throws, because they shoot so many threes. I mean, that's where their lifeblood is. But on the other end of that, part of the problem is that the people who live down low, for the most part, are Mark Vital, Flo Thamba, and Jonathan Chachua.
And Vital shoots a lot of free throws, and that's a struggle.
Yeah. Matt Meyer missed 2 of them yesterday, and I couldn't believe it.
Well, it seemed like it's kind of like that's another discussion.
But Mark Vital, and I don't say this to be flippant, because we had Rick Barry on this show in the summertime. In fact, I was sitting right here when we called him because we were still doing the show from here, and I remember asking him why people won't do it. And he said, look, my free throw percentage, where his career was so high, I don't know why people don't do it. They're free points. It doesn't make any sense. I do think that Mark Vital, and I actually do think, part of me, maybe I just want to believe this about him, if you got him to embrace it, he would shoot underhand free throws. If you told him that you were going to average 19 points a game shooting underhand free throws, he might do it.
All right. Well, hold on before you finish. Armstrong, go to @MarkVitalJr. JR on Twitter at 9:52 last night, because Mark Vital is not afraid to make fun of himself. Remember, he had that late in the game. His clock is running down. He's the only one down there, and he went to go up for what was going to be a jam to close out the game. And what did he do, Paul? Do you remember? He didn't have any oomph in his legs. He did like a 360 layup.
Yeah.
He made fun of himself on Twitter last night at 9:52 @MarkVitalJR on Twitter with laughing emojis. Here it is right here. 360 layup was the most embarrassing thing I've ever done, with the laughing emojis. Legs said, sir, have a seat.
Yeah.
He has become such a character, and he's happy. He talks about he has to battle some things with depression, but he's happy. I thought that was funny. Now, Paul, Jared Butler was fantastic. Kansas, he was sickly and worn out, and he looks like he's back in a pretty good groove.
Yeah, he does. He really played well last night, and it's funny that his family, all his family told him hey, you look like you lost your dog or whatever it was the other night. You looked the whole world. And because I told you he looked bad. I mean, he just looked.
Yeah.
I mean, he looked kind of gaunt to me, just kind of after that game. And it was obvious. And so, the West Virginia game was certainly a shot of life. And then he is just so consistently good. After a bad game, he's so consistently good afterwards. And you just saw the life get back to him last night.
Here's Jared Butler in the postgame.
Jared, what is it about this team that when somebody makes a run, like Oklahoma State, cut it to 4 tonight, and then you guys just don't ever let them get too happy and comfortable?
Yeah, it's maturity. And, I think sometimes in throughout the 40 minutes, we have little moments where we're kind of a little lax and kind of comfortable. And we just got to expand that playing hard all the time for 40 minutes. It's a hard thing to do, to be locked in and to be aggressive and be just locked in the whole game. But that's what happens. We just have little lulls of where we get comfortable and we just cut it down once the game gets a little tight. So.
Jared, I had a chance to visit with Obin earlier today, and he was telling me it doesn't matter who you are, what role you have on this team, walk on or like player of the year candidate. You guys do not let either or any of you just everyone can talk. What does that say about the lack of egos on this team, and how rare is that?
Yeah. We talk about it all the time. Ego is everyone exists. For me or something like that. It's just you think the world's for you, and we live for joy. You know what I mean? And we believe everybody on our team can help us win the game. It's like tug of war. We need everybody pulling the rope. We need everybody on board, and Coach Drew is big on that as well. And we feel like everybody's brought in, so that's a good thing.
He mentioned that perhaps, I guess in Morgantown, that things were still kind of flat, and then he said he and you got into it. Is it kind of in a fun, loving way, and it kind of sparked a great practice that may have carried over?
Yeah. Are you talking about practice? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, like this week, you guys have played so much better. You're in better shape, obviously, now again. But that maybe that moment in practice in Morgantown has led to what you guys maybe woke everybody up a little bit?
Yeah, I wouldn't say that. I think the fact that we're in better shape, and I think that when we had the Big 12 championship on the line, it kind of brought us together. And, when we're chasing a bigger goal, like a goal we had all season, it brought us together. And I think that's what helped us bounce back. And, yeah, we're definitely going to have little bickers because we care about this so much, and we're going to have strong opinions. But at the end of the day, I think the goals we have in mind, it all brought us together.
All right, so that's Jared Butler. And then there's the nugget that Mark Patterson, Paul.
Yeah.
One of
the other mullet twins.
Yeah. You always have to have two. You don't ever want to go mullet by yourself unless you're Gundy. But then he and, Jared, they kind of went at it a little bit. I mean, in a fun-loving but competitive way. Really a lot. You hear about Flo Fonda.
That's my nickname for Matt Meyer. I just got it. It's going to be Achy Breaky.
Achy Breaky. There you go. So you have Flo Thamba recognizing Matthew Meyer needs to stay in the game. You have Scott Drew sitting down with Matthew Meyer. You have Matthew Meyer clearing the table. You have Jerome Tang on the rotations against Kansas going, man, we probably could have. I got kind of caught up in watching too much of this or that. And then you have Jared Butler and Mark Patterson and all. And Maceo Teague is the little kid after the game last night shooting at the rim. This team's really good. But they're also great. And I know that sounds such a homer thing to say. It's true. They really are just a bunch of fun-loving kids. All right, Paul, Texas beat Oklahoma. Nice win for Shaka last night.
Yeah, they kind of.
They're now they're a half game up on Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State had won 5 in a row until last night.
I really hope Cade Cunningham's okay. I really do. I
haven't seen any update on him yet.
Yeah, I haven't either. And he's probably got at least a sore. I don't think he'll play in their last game. I would just assume that, especially if they're going into the NCAA tournament, they might hold him out of Kansas City as well, just because if that appeal doesn't get heard, they win the appeal or whatever on the NCAA, on their infractions, then they'll be able to play in this postseason. So
yeah, they're still really good. There was a couple of times, what was it, like 4 minutes left, and you mentioned this to me, and you mentioned it to Jared Butler. It was a 4-point game. Next thing you know, 9-point game, just like that. But they're really, really good. And he went down. Now, when he went down, and the ball became a loose ball, and it was a tight quarters, they should never have blown the whistle. As much as I want to hope Cade Cunningham's okay, and it's just maybe he's sore or he's going to have to rest for maybe 2 or 3 days, the whistle should not have been blown in that situation because Baylor, that's still a critical part of the game, and Davion Mitchell would have had a steal.
One of the awesome things about the NFL is that after the game, the official has to go talk to the pool reporter, and the pool reporter will ask him. And I don't think the official should be subjected to a press conference like a coach, because that's just inviting a bunch of things. But if there's a pool reporter and there's questions to ask, I think that that's productive, and I do like that the crew chief.
Yep.
And so, for example, for the Cowboys, the pool reporter is Todd Archer. So Todd Archer goes in and asks the question that, everybody gives him questions for the officials, and most of the time it's the same thing. He asks the crew chief a few questions, gets the explanation on some of the calls, and then moves on. Some games there may be nothing. Some games he may walk in and be like, look, this kind of went down how it went, but they answer the calls. I think and this is just for me, I would be curious to hear what the reasoning was for that, to blow the whistle on that, just so we know. I mean, ultimately,
it's not to try to rip the official. It's just what were you thinking?
Just what were you thinking in that moment? Just because it really didn't make sense, and might have been just like, oh, I heard this kid say, "Ow!" I just reacted.
Maybe he heard a bone break or something.
Yeah, maybe he just like, oh man, I got to stop this.
Yeah,
and,
But now we'll have Rob Dowser, the field of 68 on Baylor in the NCAA tournament and the seedings. Grayson Grundhafer will come up next. We have to, and we will break down what happened today in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. 6 years, it's almost 5 years, I guess, since Pepper Hamilton and Baylor in May 2016. Yeah. I got a question. I'm going to throw it out here now, and then we'll come back and break down what LSU wanted to do and recommended. The AD recommended firing Les Miles, get a cause. USA Today's been all over this. And yes, Jessica Luther, part of Texas Monthly, was a part of this as well. Where in the hell has ESPN been, and how come they didn't rent out like an entire hotel covering this for the last several months? Because this popped out at the end of last year, or even why weren't they ever a part of this? Where in the hell has Outside the Lines been? I looked on ESPN's site today. The story is the one from yesterday about Miles and the text message and whatever else. It's not. They've got their Title IX department across the campus, like every damn college in America, fails the system.
Yeah.
The college campus failed their students.
At 2:16, they put up the story I sent you, that the Les Miles firing story.
Yeah.
At 2:16, Heather Dinich.
We're going to get into that. We're going to get into that today, yeah. But the other one she had up earlier for a long, long time. But we'll get into that because a lot of people just kind of like, oh, that's LSU. And I hate to say that because Michigan State got hammered. Kansas is getting hammered. But that is like, where in the hell has everyone been parked outside of the campus at LSU? Because they damn sure were in Waco. And I'm not saying they didn't have a right to be in a lot to. But, man, that's
Mark Schlabach and Paula Levine have favorite. They have favorite restaurants here.
Yes, I mean, they wrote a book about it because they. Yeah. But again, that does not say that Baylor didn't deserve the hammer or some of the scrutiny. They did. But golly, this is a completely different animal, and it's the same freaking story. When we come back, Grayson Grundhafer, this is SicEm365 Radio. Right now at Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness, there are exercise classes every single morning, sometimes 3 or 4 a day. Boot camp on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and they've moved around a lot of the equipment inside the main room where the treadmills and the ellipticals and so much more, even the recumbent bikes, are located where you can sit up and see these huge flat screens. I think there are 6 of them from left to right across above the windows that look out towards their absolutely phenomenal tennis facility, which is basically a tennis academy with pros Britt Coleman, who handles youth lessons, and also Joe, who also handles the adult classes and lessons as well. Now, there's also now alcohol as far as beer and wine. So if you go have a tennis lesson or you go play tennis and it's Tuesday or Thursday or whatever time it is, you want to relax and have a beer with your friends or with your group, you can do that as well. There is now beer and also wine available at Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness. And there's more improvements every day. It's Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness. There are personal fitness trainers, Christy London and Randall Corley, and there are also opportunities for you just to go work out on your own, by yourself, and get it done at Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness on Lake Shore Drive in Waco.
At Marco's Pizza, get craveable pizza made the Italian way with dough made from scratch, an original sauce recipe, 3 fresh signature cheeses, and premium toppings you love, served hot and safe. Right now, you can get unlimited medium one-topping pizzas for just $6.99 each. Why stop at just one? Order with your app or at marcos.com for curbside, carryout, or delivery today. Marco's, pizza lovers get it.
Learning to navigate life in the COVID-19 world has been a struggle, and where and how to get tested has been one of the biggest challenges. Impact Health Labs has your answer. If you need mass testing for your office, church, dormitory, or school, Impact Health Labs is who to call. They will come to you, conduct the testing at your location, and have the test back within 24 hours. Most major insurance accepted, meaning your out-of-pocket cost is low. So no more waiting by the phone for days to find out the results. Impact Health Labs was founded by 3 Army licensed and credentialed medical professionals. They believe in accuracy, efficiency, and doing the job right. Call 254-744-6233 to set up your group screening today. Impact Health Labs, on-site, prompt, and accurate, taking COVID-19 head-on. Again, that number is 254-744-6233 or online at impacthealthlabs.com.
Car has the trucks, man. They have the one for you. Crew cab, short or long bed, silver, black or blue. Texas size selection, great prices too. Richard Carr, he has the truck for you. Carr has the trucks, man. He has the truck you need. If you want the best truck, you want a GMC. Texas size selection, great prices too. Richard Carr, they have the truck for you.
Hey, this is Bryce Petty, former starting quarterback and 2-time Big 12 champion, and I know firsthand the importance of being in top shape both on and off the field. So listen up, men. If you're feeling beat down day in and day out and looking for that high-performance edge that separates the men from the boys, then look no further than the Petty Clinic Low T in Waco. Petty Clinic is a comprehensive men's healthcare clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Board-certified Dr. Kent Petty has a special interest in offering the highest quality medical care to men of all ages. Some of the services offered include screening and treatment for low testosterone or thyroid, infertility, high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, sleep apnea, while offering comprehensive wellness exams and complete men's health lab panels. High performance men, remember, it's not just a Petty thing. This is Bryce Petty, encouraging you to reach out and Google search Petty Clinic Low T or go to pettycliniclowt.com and get your complimentary lab screening today.
Boozers is the wedding ring store and more. If you're ready to get engaged or already married and want to upgrade your wife's ring for a special anniversary, Boozers is the place to go. With the largest selection of premier quality diamond engagement rings and wedding rings in Central Texas. They have 7 cases with over 300 styles of rings from top designers like Natalie Kay. Choose from yellow, white, or rose gold, plus beautiful top quality loose diamonds. With an in-house jewelry, they can also custom make anything you want. Bring in a picture or drawing and let Boozers create your one-of-a-kind pendant or ring. They can even use some of your old gold and diamond jewelry to create something new. At Boozers, you'll find a great selection of quality timepieces, and Boozers is the place for expert watch maintenance and repairs too. They specialize in expert Rolex watch repair for fine jewelry, watches, custom work, and more. Go to Boozers on Valley Mills and Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Boozers, the wedding ring store and more.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio. It's time for our weekly segment with Grayson Grundhafer of SicEm365.com. Brought to you by Pioneer Steel and Pipe, where customer service is their main focus, and best in metal, steel, and pipe for large or small projects, with 2 locations in Waco and Bryan. Family owned and operated since 1943.
All right, we'll have Rob Dowser, the field of 68.com on college basketball at 4 o'clock. Jason King, 5:30 from SicEm365.com, as is our next guest, Grayson Grundhafer. He's been busy. I noticed that premium section. It fired it up. Every once in a while, he'll start throwing up what Baylor is putting up information, who they're offering. A quick Cade Cunningham update, by the way. Apparently, he did suffer what they thought is a sprained ankle, what they believe is a sprained ankle. Treatment today, reevaluate tonight or tomorrow. Questionable for the game on Saturday at West Virginia. I could see them absolutely not playing him at all.
Questionable. Just don't play him.
Yeah. All right.
What's the benefit?
It's not like the Cowboys. He's out 4 to 6 weeks, and it's never.
Yeah.
All right, Grayson Grundhafer, recruiting, and he's not just an analyst. Grayson does an incredible job with our recruiting, not only on the site but also with this segment. And Grayson, thanks for your time today. What would you say was the one either offer or some sort of something that happened this week with Baylor football that kind of raised your eyebrows the most?
Oh, guys, it definitely has to be the new quarterback offer that just went out. And it went out over, I guess, 3 days ago. and this is Baylor's first quarterback offer in the 2022 class since Jeff Grimes and Eric Mateos and Sean Bell became the quarterback coach. So now this is it, guys. I mean, we've been waiting on another offer to go out. We kind of knew for a while that Baylor had their kind of, I guess, head set on possibly landing Cade Klubnik out of Austin Westlake. Well, he decided to commit to Clemson, so Baylor decided they needed to move on to try to find another quarterback, and they did that by offering Pinson Valley high school quarterback Zach Pyron. He's out of the state of Alabama, and 6'3", 205, and Baylor became his 11th offer. He's got a few other offers: Arkansas State, Houston, Akron, Kansas State. But Baylor really coming in strong and offering him, and looks like he's the new priority at the quarterback position.
Well, what does that tell you about the kind of quarterbacks that they like?
Yeah, I wish it told me a whole lot more than it does, because if you look at the guys that they've offered previously and the guys they re-offered, it's kind of the no-brainer top guys in the state. But it was interesting because there are a lot of guys with similar offer sheets who play in the state of Texas, but there was something about Zach that they liked better. And I mean, if you watch his film, some of the throws and things that stand out that make him maybe a little bit more comparable to that top three group in the state, which is Cade Klubnik, Connor Weigman, and Quinn Ewers. The thing that he does really well that's maybe pushes him a little bit closer to those guys is his ability to throw on the run is very, very good. It's not just throwing on the run, it's his ability to get outside the pocket and keep his eyes down the field and then make those throws on the run. And that's becoming a huge deal in the NFL and, of course, in college football. You have to be able to get outside the pocket and make plays downfield. And the truly elite guys are the guys that are able to turn that kind of play, that specific play, into a 40-yard touchdown instead of just a 8 to 10-yard run for a first down. The elite guys can make those plays deep down the field while running outside the pocket. And I think Zach Pyron does that. I think the other thing that stands out is he only has two high school losses and 3 straight state championships. He transferred from a 2A school to a 6A school this year and still won the state championship. So he's also a winner.
It's interesting you brought all that up and kind of start to chew a little bit on who he might be. I like the fact that he plays in the state of Alabama. He put up pretty good numbers. He's got a little bit of the dual threat in him. Grayson Grunhaber with us on SicEm365 Radio. Grayson, golly, I hope I just didn't go blank. I think I just went blank. Oh, what were your thoughts about the Klubnik? He had no. They really. I know that they had their hopes out for that. When Clemson can offer in like a day later, he's gone. Did they really have a chance at him?
Yeah, so you have to remember, Smokey, that process moved really quick because Ty Simpson was kind of their top quarterback target, and he committed to Alabama over Clemson.
Okay.
So Clemson moved really quickly towards Klubnik. And, I mean, honestly, guys, the thing of it is if Clemson wants a quarterback, it's awfully hard for Baylor to beat them for a quarterback, even if it's only a day. I mean, you got to remember, Baylor's still recruiting with just 2 wins after this season, whereas Clemson's recruiting with, obviously, another college football playoff appearance, multiple championships, a lot of success at the quarterback spot. Yeah, I mean, once that offer came, it was kind of, it just seemed like a done deal immediately. But Baylor built a good relationship with him. So, I mean, if that offer had not come, I think Baylor could have somewhat been in the running because there were a lot of rumors that he wanted to stay in state. But obviously, Texas and A&M filled up. And then outside of the state, he was looking at the elite programs, and Clemson just happens to be one of those.
All right, so let's go inside the quarterback room, so to speak, now that you have all these young, like, phenoms, and a lot of guys everyone knows what Zeno might be able to do, and obviously there's Gary Bohannon. But what about the story with Shapen giving up baseball? How much did that kind of pique your interest in the fact that he's going to try to be football only?
I think that it definitely piqued my interest. Obviously, it means that Chapin felt like he needed to focus on football, at least during this spring time period, because I don't think he's done with baseball. I do think that he's going to focus on football spring, but then I do think he will go back to baseball at the end of the year. We'll see how that all works out. There's a lot of different answers and things that need to be figured out, but what I will say is I think it gives him a better shot at picking up the offense. It gives him a better shot at competing for the starting job. And I think spring is going to be very important because I do feel like this staff probably wants to go into the fall with an idea of who they have as their starting quarterback. So if he wanted to be the starter, I think he needed to do spring football and do it pretty much all the way. And I think he felt the best way to do that was by only doing football. And so it'll be an interesting storyline to follow for sure. I think it gives him a much better shot at possibly becoming the guy if he's able to beat out Gary Bohannon and Jacob Zeno.
Well, that's not uncommon though for two-sport athletes to do that, right, Grayson? To just say, look, I'm gonna once spring football starts, I'm gonna stop with baseball, and then once spring football's over, it's only 20 practices, ultimately, a month. Then you can go back to the baseball team and contribute in whatever fashion they need you to contribute.
Right, it's not that uncommon, and I think. I don't know the exact logistics of it, but I will say that I think if Blake Chapin was the guy as far as on the baseball, like he was the starter on the baseball team, this decision might have been a little bit harder, but I'm not sure that he was going to be that for them this year. Even though he's a very talented player and he probably would have had his shot, I think that might have been another reason behind it. But you're exactly right. It's not uncommon for a guy to focus solely on football when football's going on, and then move right over to baseball and focus solely on that as well.
Grayson, we are up against the time. Could you do this in 30 seconds? What does it say then that he noticed that he probably needs to be there for the spring, knowing who's around him? Is that kind of a compliment to the competition in the room?
Good point. I think it is. I think it very much is. I think it shows you where the quarterback room is at. And also I think it shows you what Jeff Grimes and Sean Bell expect from these guys, and they expect them to pick things up very quickly and be able to put it on the football field. And with football school going on right now, it's very important that these guys are learning and picking things up really quickly. So yes, I think it should tell you good things about the guys ahead of Chapin as well, and then also good things about Chapin himself.
Grayson, thank you very much. Grayson Grundhafer, Fridays at 3:45 with us on SicEm365 Radio. Coming up next, Rob Dowser. He's been with us before. The Field68.com is something he decided to put together, college basketball 24/7. His thoughts about not just Baylor as they bounce back, but also the Big 12, the upcoming tournament, and many things around the country. SicEm365 Radio. Ideal MRI. If I tell you that if you have to get something or you need something and then you could save hundreds or maybe thousands of dollars on what it is, would you not listen to me? Well, you can do that with idealmri.com. Dr. Rob Maxey, I'll never forget when the show was announced back at the middle to late part of March, reached out to me immediately and said, we want to be involved with the show. And they're the title sponsor of SicEm365 Radio. Dr. Rob Maxey sent me a lot of information about Ideal MRI, that the average MRI is $1,100, and theirs is $497 or less every single time, sometimes less. They'll also help you with the insurance. And yes, I went through he said, hey, come see us. Because I wanted to see what they had. I was blown away by the state-of-the-art technology, the MRI machine that's no different than any of the ones you have, these big, huge hospital systems that are also great. But Ideal MRI, again, is going to save you hundreds and maybe thousands of dollars. And the process to get an appointment online, to get there with not waiting and waiting and waiting, is there as well inside the Central Texas Marketplace, Op 35 and where Loop 340 and Highway 6 veer towards the west. IdealMRI.com in the Central Texas Marketplace. Right now, I promise you, I went through the machine. I went through the MRI. If you have something that is more than just a bump, bruise, or something that's sore and hurts like hell, and you need an MRI and your doctor says, we need to order an MRI, you ask them. You tell them. Why not IdealMRI.com?
We've sent the nomination forms to area high school counselors for the 11th annual Academic All-Stars team, and we will find 20 elite student athletes who excel in both academic and athletic competition from Central Texas high schools. Hello, everyone. This is David Smoak. Our title sponsor is Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, protecting Texans since 1952. The 2021 Academic All-Stars program is also brought to you by Westdale Asset Management, Englander Design Pack, Southwest Sports Medicine, Allen Samuels, Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat, Coca-Cola of Waco, Ray Broker Air Conditioning and Heating, Texas Sports Hall of Fame, HEB, the McLean Group, Universal Windows Direct, Rudy's Country Store and Barbecue, and the Waco Foundation are 501c3. Nomination deadlines March 31st. We'll eventually announce the team on Monday, May 3rd. Honor them at our annual banquet on Wednesday, May the 19th. It's the 11th annual Academic All-Stars team highlighting the elite student athletes in Central Texas right here on SicEm365 Radio.
1, 2.
I'm in love with a man named Rudy. I'm okay with that. He knows exactly what I want. Keeps me coming back. He cooks breakfast, lunch, and dinner for me. Does the dishes too. I'm in love with a man named Rudy. Last name Barbecue. It sure is easy to fall in love with Rudy's tasty oak smoked barbecue.
Next in line.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Ben Erlinson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Ben Erlinson, 100 North 6th Street in Waco, 254-759-8533. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine has their easy-to-access drive-thru open and convenient and clean in-store location on the corner of Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. Riverbend Liquor has the best and most extensive variety of craft beer selections in Waco, and Balcones Whiskey, including single malt, pot still, baby blue, rye, brimstone, and the all-new Lineage in stock. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family-owned and operated, and a hidden gem in Waco on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street. And find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
You want to know why Stonewood Dental is so successful? Listen to what happy customers have to say.
It's pleasant. It's different than any other dentist office. I really feel like they care. And it's not that you're here for 2 hours waiting on someone to take care of you. It's quick and easy, and I bring my kids, and my kids love being here too. They really love the treasure box. Staff is really nice and accommodating, real friendly. You feel more like home. It's not sterile looking. Everybody has their own personalized rooms with decorations and decor, and they'll even have a blanket for you when it's cold. I've recommended people to actually come here, and they are patients now. I really love it here. It feels like family.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio.
After winning the Big 12 regular season championship on Tuesday, oh my, a hammer from Butler.
The 4 o'clock hour is sponsored by Boozer's Jewelers, the wedding ring store, specializing in custom jewelry and repair, all in-house.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
All right. By the way, the Ken Palm ratings, we're waiting to hear from Rob Dowser. We ran a little bit late with the first hour, and so I hope he's going to be able to join us. He's great at what he does. We've had him on before, and Armstrong is efforting that segment. Got him?
I know you. Yes, but you said that. Efforting.
Is that a word?
I think it is now. I think it's one of those things that...
Is it like physicality?
That PR people have forced into the lexicon.
Okay. But Armstrong's busting his, to try to track down Rob Dowser.
He's on. We got him.
Oh, okay, good. It's our fault because we ran a little bit late. Rob Dowser, the field68.com, college basketball analyst, columnist, and also does numerous shows as well, joins us on SicEm365 Radio. Rob, I saw kind of some of your feedback during the Baylor game against Kansas, and obviously there was something missing. And now it appears as if they've turned the corner, not quite who they are, but do you see now Baylor that you saw prior to the pause?
Yeah, I think we're getting closer back to it. I don't think that they're quite there. You know, the big thing for me was going to be on the defensive side of the floor. And against West Virginia, I thought that there were driving lanes that you don't normally see. Now, how much of that is, you know, Baylor's defense being maybe a little bit rusty, maybe their legs aren't quite there, and how much of that is West Virginia's just being really, really good on that end of the floor? Well, that's probably a little bit debatable. But for the most part, yeah, I mean, look, you go in and you win at West Virginia, and then you go and you beat a streaking Oklahoma State team pretty handily. I think it's fair to say that this team's back.
Rob, were you worried that with such a long pause, though, that it might have been impossible to get back in the right amount of time?
I mean, it's definitely a concern. You know, when you spend 3 weeks, the thing about it is, you know, when you talk about Michigan's pause, right? They didn't have anybody test positive, so they had to get shut down basically because the state of Michigan said we've had a certain COVID variant show up in your athletic department. We are taking the utmost precaution. We do not want this to spread, so everybody's taking a 2-week break from everything, and that just meant that the kids had to be in their apartments, and like they were able to get video workouts from their strength and conditioning coaches. They were able to do things like, I don't know, like burpees and push-ups and things to kind of keep a little bit of that fitness level. Whereas, you know, Baylor, and Jeff Gooden reported this for us, but 8 of their players tested positive. And, you know, when that happens, those guys aren't working out at the same level. You take what could just be having to try to sustain when you're doing at-home workouts into something where, like, you're not doing anything for a couple of weeks, and that really just changes what that layoff could end up being and how it can impact you. So, yes, I was worried about it, but it's nice to see them kind of getting back into being the team that they were before. Because, I mean, look, everybody saw it against Iowa State. That was not the Baylor that we saw at the start of the season. That was not the Baylor that we saw last night.
You know, I thought Tuesday's win in Morgantown, which was a fantastic, incredible basketball game, and even if it would have been 94-89 West Virginia, I say the same thing because they're very good as well. But I thought just beating Iowa State, despite their record, was kind of gutty because they, you know, next thing you know, they look up, they're 17 down. They could have absolutely just melted down in that game.
Yeah, I mean, it was. They had to come back and win it, and I think that does show a little bit of mettle now, considering the fact that Iowa State has not won a conference game. Like, that wasn't exactly the most promising sign, but I'll tell you this much. I'm sure that Scott Drew is happy the way that schedule broke down and that they were fortunate enough to have that be the team on their schedule instead of, like, first game back having to play West Virginia. Could you imagine that? Like, they might have lost by 30.
Oh, yeah. No question. Yeah.
Rob, do you see a clear dividing line between, say, the top 4 or 5 teams and then the next tier, or is it becoming a little bit more muddled?
I think it's more muddled. You know, I still think that Gonzaga is the best team in the country, and I think that there's a little bit of a delineation there. I think that Baylor is probably the second best team in the country because, look, at the end of the day, I trust teams that can kind of play that modern style, whereas Michigan is going to have kind of like they got a ground and pound big guy in Hunter Dickinson. And I also trust teams that have great guard play. Michigan has good guard play. Baylor has great guard play. I don't know if there's a better backcourt in the country than Davion and Jared Butler. Like, those two dudes you got 2 All-Americans, 2 first-round picks. Like, they're absolute studs. So I tend to trust teams that kind of are built in that model. And, I mean, Baylor's very much built in that model.
Rob, would there have been a time after the loss to Kansas, and let's say they don't win at West Virginia, where they did, and now last night took care of business and looked much more like themselves again, were they in danger of losing the number 1 seed at all? Because everyone right behind them, other than Michigan, they've had their warts too.
No, I think that they're a lock. I mean, I think they can lose out until the NCAA tournament, still get a number 1 seed. Same thing with Michigan. Same thing with Gonzaga. I think the only number one seed that's up for grabs is Illinois or Ohio State. And I think that Ohio State has to beat Illinois, hope that Illinois takes a loss early in the Big Ten tournament, and then make a run in the Big Ten tournament themselves to get it. For my money, we have 3 of the 4 locked in, and the fourth one is more or less a lock as well.
Are there teams that are sitting maybe right now on like the 5-6 line you could see getting hot and making a legit run into the Final Four?
Yeah, I think that the fact that this is a season where all it takes is one positive test on the team to kind of mess everything up, I think that there's a very good chance that we could see something weird happening. Now, I would probably, like if the bracket came out today without seeing the matchups, I would probably just pencil Baylor and Gonzaga into the Final Four. And I find it very difficult to talk myself into a way that Michigan does not make it to the Final Four, however my bracket shakes out. But there are also a lot of, like, UConn is streaking right now. I think UConn's a team that has top 20 talent is going to end up getting like probably an 8 or a 9 seed. I think that Oregon is a team that is built like a top 15 team that's going to probably end up in that 9 or 10 seed range. So there's going to be a lot of teams that have weird seeding based on the way the season played out, some of the wins and losses that they had, and when they had their COVID pauses. So it's going to be a little bit weird bracketing, but for the most part, I think that it's very clear cut who the 3 best teams in the country are.
When you see Jared Butler, and last night, Rob, as you know, he was back to normal, 25. He played well in Morgantown. He's involved in the Player of the Year. Obviously, Garza at Iowa, and there's others involved as well. And Cade Cunningham and Jared Butler are the Big 12 Player of the Year candidates, among a couple of others. Do you feel like the pause hurt him and his chances of being Player of the Year and moving ahead? Because right about the time they had the pause, he was playing at as high a level as he's ever played.
For him in terms of the Big 12 Player of the Year, I don't think that it's Luka Garza and maybe I would assume for my money for a National Player of the Year. But seeing how well Illinois played without Iowa, I mean, look, you got a guy on the top 5 team that's averaging 25 and 8 for the second straight season. Like I think it's pretty clear cut that Luka Garza is going to end up winning the National Player of the Year award. When it comes to Big 12 Player of the Year, that's going to end up being a little bit debatable. If you want to go with the best player on the best team, I think that's very clearly Jared Butler. If you want to go with like the best player overall, I think that's probably Cade Cunningham. I think like if I had to pick one of the two to start a team, like I probably would take Cade in that case. So I think that if that's your argument, I get it. But like, look, the bottom line is this. Jared Butler and Cade Cunningham are both first-team All-Americans. They're 2 of the top 5 players in America this year. They're 2 guys that are going to end up making a lot of money playing basketball for a very long time. And it's kind of, it's picking nits if you're just kind of trying to figure out which one you think it deserves the award. And I think both of them are very justified for it, to be honest.
Paul? Rob, thank you very much. Great. Oh, I wanted to ask you about your field of 68 shining moments, because I know I saw your tweet. Since apparently producing and publishing 35 shows a week wasn't enough, we've launched a brand new series over the field of 68. 68 shining moments. We all know some of them ourselves. How much time and effort, and when did you guys start working on these?
So we started doing this like probably a month and a half ago. Just reaching out to everyone that was involved in one of the most memorable moments in college basketball history, whether it was like TJ Sorensen hit that from the parking lot, or we talked to the guys in the North Carolina team that Chris Whitmer called that timeout. We talked to Frank Kaminsky and Sam Decker on what it was like about losing in back-to-back Final Four. So, and look, we got a lot of good ones left to come. I don't want to tease them too much, but let's just say we have some national champions. We have some guys currently in the NBA. We got some pretty big names and pretty big things coming up. You can find that on the Field of 68 YouTube channel. You can find it on, it's called 68 Shining Moments. Anywhere that you get podcasts for free, it's on there somewhere. So, yeah, we're going to try to get to 68. I think that right now we have 60 done and or planned. So we got to find a way to get 8 more. But we got some targets, so I think we're going to get there.
Great stuff. Thank you very much, Rob. Appreciate your time. Rob Dowser, again. Field of68.com covers. He's got he's what he did. A lot of places, there was a lot of .com, Paul, as you know, many years. Yeah. There was Fox and ESPN and CBS, and there were others. Yahoo, some of them are still around. Some of them have like melted. So what he did is he started doing podcasts. He and Jeff Goodman, they have Ashley and Jason are a part of that, and a lot of national writers, a lot of basketball. It's a basketball site. You know, it's not NASCAR, it's basketball.
I can't remember who I was talking to this about the other day, but like what we're doing at SicEm365, what they're doing at the Field of 68. If you look around, Texags.com. So ESPN.com and Fox Sports had all these writers. The Athletic really pioneered this as well. And they fired a bunch of Sports Illustrated. They fired a bunch of people. And they sent all this talent out into the marketplace with no place to go. And who's to say that they get to control the content? These two, they're big companies, but they're also like, if you look at Fox Sports, doesn't write anything anymore. Like their whole website is video. It's all, very short attention span theater kind of things. And which is fine. That's what they want. I don't like their website at all. I think it's hard to navigate, but so that allows even companies like Yahoo or whatever to kind of grab on. And then you have the Athletic that says, okay, well, what if we're a subscription service that just takes away all the frills of the sites that you're on and you get good in-depth stories? That's why we always have people from the Athletic on. They've got the best writers.
theathletic.com.
And what ESPN has leaned into, and this is a story that broke yesterday, was they're giving big money to certain people or offering big money, but they're firing a bunch of other smaller people, and they're leaning into the big star kind of thing. That's what they're doing. So I'm not going to mention who they offered money to and got rejected, but it's a guy who's not a journalist in the truest sense of the word. He's just a hate spewing jamoke.
Yeah.
But so they're going to pay jamoke.
If I can't use efforting, you can't use jamoke.
Jamoke has been in the lexicon longer than efforting.
That sounds like that came from The Rock.
It might have. I think that's jabroni. But so if they're going to lean into the whole sports shouting thing, where their programming is going to be dictated by Twitter and who can be the loudest about what people say on Twitter, then there's going to be a lot of really talented and really good people out there that can start their own thing, and there's money to be made there too. It's not something that's just barren. There's money to be made, and so I think you're going to see more and more of this. And so if you are, what we bring is, look, if you're a fan of sports in Central Texas, particularly Baylor, and then what we do with the Cowboys and the Rangers and everything else, then you're going to come to us and get us that directly from here. If you're a fan of A&M, you're going to go to a site like Texags. If you're a fan of the Cowboys, you're going to go kind of right to the source of those local things, as opposed to waiting for our national overlords to, feed you some scraps of what you like.
If you look at the front page of ESPN.com, they have at the top bar, and I want to get to the LSU story after this. I think we have time for that. We will have time for it. So you have NFL, NBA, soccer, men's and women's basketball, Major League Baseball, all right? And it's all current. Like right now, college football is not even a part of the top bar. You then go down, and there's like 20 other sports, from MMA to cricket and rugby. And that's just, you cannot grab onto all of that. So we appreciate it. And by the way, when you are in a position where we are, and we have partners like Brian and Ashley and Colt, and they allow us to be, at times, Matthew Meyer, and then at times they let us know that we're Matthew Meyer.
Yeah.
But they have allowed us to go do what we love to do, and it is so nice to know that we can go somewhere, or we can comment, or we can also cover something, and the sponsorships have been incredible from the beginning. I just got a text from Rob Maxey. Dr. Maxey heard my endorsement of Ideal MRI, and he was so nice to me about what I said about them, because they're one of ours, All right, when we come back, we're going to have John Machota at 5. At 5:30, Jason King on Baylor and men's basketball. Let's get into LSU. Let's do that. Well, let's and I have to, and I'm going to try to. I've said my piece about this, and some of our listeners have also responded on the text line about what I said. And not everybody was completely up 100% behind what I had to say. But LSU today had a press conference from hell that had to dive into what was their Pepper Hamilton. And my only question that I ask is, this story came out at the end of last season. And it was like a day or two, and then it evaporated. Ed Orgeron didn't say much. Everyone just said, okay. Well, USA Today kept banging that drum and kept at least working on more and more information. LSU Today released more information about some pretty damning stuff. It's going to be tough for Les Miles, I think, to stay at Kansas. And I'm not a cancel culture guy. I hate cancel culture. I hate it. I hate it. It's to the bottom of my loins, I hate it. And but Les Miles, I think it's going to be tough for him to get through the rest of the next few months because of some of the stuff that came out. Again, a lot of it's allegation.
But see, I think the worst part on it is, like, if you're Kansas and all you had to do was ask the old athletic director. That's all you had to do, because it was his recommendation.
How do you not ask the old athletic director?
Like, hey, was there anything about Les? Like, just, we love Les. We just want to know. That's all you had to do. And they clearly didn't do that. So now they got to clean up that mess. And look, this was settled and blah, blah, blah and all that. But I don't see how you can just keep Les on and see, like, well, that was then, this is now.
We're going to come back and compare the differences between LSU and Baylor, because there's a lot of similarities as well, but there are differences. And one of them is the head coach. Mm-hmm. And one of them is how it was reported and how it was investigated. We'll come back with that and a lot more. 254-339-1122. Your feedback on it. SicEm365 Radio.
ImpactHealthLabs.com. ImpactHealthLabs.com. Remember that website. Look, if you need to get COVID testing for your office, if you need a bunch of COVID tests because somebody or a couple people have gotten sick and you want to make sure you don't have an outbreak in your office, or you want to make sure that your employees know what they have to do if they are infected with COVID, Impact Health Labs will set that up. This is a company founded by 3 military-trained medical professionals. They believe in accuracy, doing the job right, and bringing it to you. That's what they'll do. They're not going to make you wait a long time for the test. They're going to be back in 24 hours. The other thing is, look, where do I go? Where do I send my people? You don't have to send them anywhere. You have to bring them to the office or wherever you want, and then they will come to you, do the test at your site, then take them. You'll get them back in under 24 hours. They take most major forms of insurance, so the cost to you is low. And look, if you don't have, if somebody doesn't have insurance and you got to pay out of pocket, it's about $100 or so for a test, depending on what you need done. So again, the price is not prohibitive at all. ImpactHealthLabs.com. That's the website, ImpactHealthLabs.com.
Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physician of Baylor Athletics. Our doctors specialize in the diagnosis and treatment of any and all sports-related injuries. Celebrating over a decade of service in Central Texas, our doctors are equipped to handle a wide range of issues, whether it's your foot or ankle, orthopedic spine care, your hand or wrist, knee and shoulder pain, or if you're in need of our arthritis or total joint clinic. Come see us at the new Baylor Scott and White Ted and Sue Getterman Sports and Orthopedic Center. Trusted doctors at Baylor Trust, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics. Our goal is to get you back in the game.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302.
Born in Waco, Brotherwell Brewing exists to serve the Central Texas community with locally crafted beer of the highest quality. They want to bring Central Texas closer to the brewing experience so everyone can enjoy well-made beer as much as they do. For 2.5 years, they've been bringing high-quality beer to Central Texas at their location on Bridge Street in East Waco. Brotherwell Brewing believes in community and bringing people together to enjoy products made in their community. So for your game day, whether it's a tailgate or at home, stop by Brotherwell Brewing for high-quality craft beer made right here in Central Texas, 400 East Bridge Street, and check them out online at brotherwell.com.
During the President's Day event, Allen Samuels has special pricing on a new 2021 Jeep Grand Cherokee Limited with values up to $3,250 or 0% for 72 months, plus $1,000 in combo cash. Or a 2021 Jeep Cherokee. The new Latitude Plus has up to $6,000 in total values or 0% interest for 72 months and $1,250 in combo cash. Allen Samuels award-winning customer service. The best place to find your next SUV. Located at 201 West Loop 340. Allen Samuels is your friend in the car business. See dealer for details. All offers have credit requirements.
Waco's newest gym, Halo Athletic Center, 5725 Bagby Avenue, right behind Region 12 and across the highway from the Central Texas Marketplace, where motivation, inspiration, and hard work are the driving force. State-of-the-art equipment, indoor and outdoor track, locker rooms, showers, yoga and bar classes by Duality Yoga, bod pod potty composition analysis, and registered dietitians, all under one roof, where we rise above. Come join the Halo Athletic Center and be a part of the change. Your change.
Don Humidor, your home with a 48-foot walk-in humidor with the elite cigar brands from around the world, including the #1 cigar of the year, Aging Room Cuatro Nicaragua. Plus, they have the great brands like Macanudo and Artur Fuente, Rocky Patel, Aston, and so much more. CBD, great for sore muscles, aches and pains, sleep, Vita Dreams, and anxiety, mild depression, general health and wellness. Their staff very knowledgeable on the subject. If anyone is curious about CBD, ask Carol and Ashley. Don Humidor in the Townwood Shopping Center off Valley Mills in Waco.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio.
SicEm365 Radio is presented by IdealMRI.com. High-quality MRIs for $497 or less. IdealMRI.com. Your health is important, so is your budget.
All right, rapid fire, Paul. We're on until what? Open until 5. John Machota at 5. 254-339-1122. We're going to dive into LSU and what came out and has come out really since the end of last year. Tom Brady rookie card, $1.32 million.
Really?
Yes.
Huh.
Price tag believed to be the highest paid for a football card. The record previously was nearly $500,000. A recent Patrick Mahomes card sold for $861,000 in February.
I'm just kind of surprised. Like, I guess it's a special, and this is something from something I do. I mean, I don't collect anything new. I mean, like I've, have all these old ones. I went through it all this summer, and I wonder, like, why are some of these new ones like this Mike Trout card?
Have you not been watching what's going on with cards?
Yeah,
but the pandemic has exploded that market, which frustrates me because I used to have so many of them.
Yeah, so I know that's one of the reasons I kind of got into it. But as far as, I mean, they don't, I guess maybe they started limiting the print. Like, that was the problem before. Like, I have all these cards. I have, like, let me, like, you say a name, Dave Dravecchia, I can go find you 50 of them. Like they just have so dang many. And even people like Bo Jackson that were valuable in the 90s or Ken Griffey Jr. is probably a better example. There's just tons of cards. So the value is down.
I remember when we were doing the early shows from your upper deck suite.
It's still going on. It's still something I do.
All right.
It's still something I do. So
now there's 3 stories, maybe more. In the week of Dr. Seuss, in the week of, it seemed like and I understand Dr. Seuss's company, I know that they made some of the decisions themselves, but in a week of what happened at Creighton with McDermott, and what's happened with him being suspended for the game coming up this weekend, we got to get into some things that might get us on a little bit of a get off your high horse, but we're going to do this. LSU athletic director, there is today, this is an email from Paul Oliva.
Joe Oliva, yeah. Not news no longer. Chris Woodward, who was at Washington and A&M, is now the AD.
Here is an actual email on Les Miles and some of the allegations, okay? The allegations are allegations. But here's an email. Listen to this. Bob and King, thanks for a call today. One more time, I want us to think about which scenario is worse for LSU. Now, that first sentence and this next sentence should be the question that every administration, athletic director, anybody should ask when there is, oh my God, what are we going to do here? Here's explaining why we let him go Les Miles, or explaining why we let him stay. Proactive or reactive? I always believe that people are innocent until proven guilty, and in this case, I believe he's guilty, Les Miles, of insubordination, inappropriate behavior, putting the university athletic department and football program at great risk. I think we have cause. I specifically told him not to text, call, or be alone with any student workers, and he obviously didn't listen. I know there are many possible outcomes, much risk either way, but I believe it is in the best interest in the long run to make a break. The court of public opinion will favor us. The courtroom on July 2nd, we will know. More facts will remain the same. That's pretty deadly right there.
Well, look, and when you want to say, like, maybe he wasn't guilty of sexual harassment by the court or whatever, but his boss told him not to do something and he did it. If he was not Les Miles, if he was Joe Smith that worked at, B&B Auto Parts, and they said, don't text this person, nothing's happened, but just look, let's cut this off of the past, and he did it, they would fire him. That was what they would do. And
he, insubordination, he goes, I told him not to do it, and he did it anyway.
Yeah.
As far as from his boss.
Yeah. So Joe Oliva here is the very rare exception to me. And I'm not gonna toot the horn for Joe Oliva, because I'm sure that there are things I'm sure somebody could pull up with me that he probably overlooked, because you're not gonna surprise me anymore with this university overlooked this that happened. It's not ever going to surprise me. No university anywhere. No university, no major institution, no church, no government, nothing. None of it will surprise me, because the clear thing when you have big institutions like LSU, like Baylor, and like the Catholic Church, for crying out loud, is instead of protecting the people, the victims, they will protect themselves first and then try to clean that other stuff up on the back end. And most of the time, because they protected themselves first, the other people who needed the protection are hung out to dry. Now, in this particular case with Les Miles, look, it's twofold. Look, the president.
But let's not get lost in just Les Miles. There are sexual assaults going on throughout the campus.
Yeah, sexual assaults going on. Exactly.
You ever heard of that before?
Yeah. And what did they do? They protected the institution first before anything else.
And let others twist in the wind, who still, in some cases, one of them in Art Briles, and this is not about Art Briles. I don't know why my internet line's ringing so much. It's not about Art Briles, but it is. Les Miles, they gave him, they had cause. Baylor feels like they had cause, and that's debatable for the rest of our lives until we don't breathe anymore. But here's the difference is there's evidence. The thing about Art Briles was he's still the captain of the ship, even though Ian McCall was the captain of the ship, even though Ken Starr was the captain of the ship. There was the one text message with he and Colin Shillinglaw. The one. And, man, the media blew that crap out of just way. They took a part of a quote. Now, I'm not trying to defend Art Briles or Baylor. Here's what I'm going to say. Where in the hell has been this sitting out, renting hotel rooms, living in Waco, Texas, in Baton Rouge? Here's Dennis Dodd. Dennis Dodd has crucified Baylor. Not saying he should have done. 6 years after Baylor, we're still talking about a Power 5 school with virtually unlimited resources to staff a Title IX office lacking in Title IX compliance. They suspended the executive deputy director for external relations, and they also asked them to undergo training and how to deal with domestic and sexual violence. So what happened, and what we at least thought, or maybe whatever you believe, in 2016, 5 years later, not a damn person. What were they not in Baton Rouge when all that was going on in Waco on the national news, with people in Baton Rouge going, holy crap?
Well, and look, this clearly part of the thing was LSU clearly had a better strategy internally for how to, because we're just finding out about this, but there was a time, for a couple of years.
What did you say? You were just now finding out about this?
We're just now finding out about Les.
Oh, okay.
Miles.
But no, they knew. That email was in 2013.
Well, LSU knew, but nobody else. I mean, they kept it. They kept it within the bounds of the institution. Baylor couldn't do that, and just many public relations missteps along the way, which we can adjudicate over and over again. But I think, when you look at what LSU did, and they did exactly what Baylor did at first, or what Baylor did even after Art Briles. Look, it's kind of two prongs of the same strategy. So Baylor chose to make Art Briles and Ian McCaw and Ken Starr the sacrificial lambs for something that they were at most a small part of. Still responsible for their own little corner of it, but the problem was much bigger than those three guys and the way that they handled internal discipline. Much, much bigger. And much, much bigger, and went back further than they were even employed at Baylor. And the same thing can be said about every single college in the country. There's a reason that politicians, that Title IX's reach was expanded to include these things. It's not because it was isolated incidents. It was happening all over the place. Now, Title IX expanding and doing that, we've talked about it a ton of times. That was aesthetic. That was an aesthetic. It's not really worked. It hasn't done anything but muddy the waters, and maybe even make it worse in some regards. But it was brought up for a reason. It was because it happens all over the place, and the institution will protect itself. The institution, because no one person is bigger than the institution, over the people the institution, that get tuition from and all that,
Okay, what's the difference between LSU and Baylor?
Very little. I mean, their strategy was, we're going to protect.
You said they're going to protect.
They're going to protect Les Miles, which is part of they wrap their arms around him as part of the institution, as opposed to having they said, we're going to protect Les Miles, we're going to keep this quiet. As where Baylor knew they couldn't keep it quiet anymore because football stuff kind of kept happening, and they had to have a sacrificial lamb, or several. And I still believe that their firing of Art Briles and Ian McCaw was all justified, but that was also treating a bullet wound with a Band-Aid, like, oh, hey, look, we got rid of these guys, no more problem. That's not true at all.
It just got worse. It got worse. Okay, Dennis, there's two questions. Two questions for every college that sponsors athletics right now. How many Title IX offices are properly staffed and funded? And how many have a concussion management plan that came out of the NCAA settlement in the Arrington case in 2019? Somebody is banging up my number. All right, so Title IX, remember all of that? What was her name? Patty or something. There was a constant gnashing of teeth and who got what. Remember all that?
Yeah.
And here we are.
I'll tell you. Here's the answer to that. Because the way they're doing it is wrong. The way that they're approaching this is wrong. To really help the victims of this, there's not a Title IX office in the country that's probably properly staffed. Unless they figured out a way to make sure that sexual assaults that happen on campus or to your students are treated in the way that gets them into the justice system and that forces the justice system to do it, as opposed to, what we know is thousands and thousands of untested rape kits around the country of people who've done this. They go get a rape kit. It just goes into in a backlog, and nothing happens with it. All these things, all these untried cases. So until that happens, nothing's going to really change. And if they're just going to do what most colleges do and say, okay, student X attacks student Y, and we're gonna do this. Well, they don't have subpoena power. They don't have forensics. They don't have any of that stuff. So it's just gonna be a kangaroo court like it's always been, and then no one wins there, especially not the victim. And then the university is doing what the government said. Like, if the government gives you a list of boxes you have to check, what big institutions will do, whether they're universities, whether they're electrical grid operators, whether they're anybody, if you just have to check 10 boxes, they'll find the cheapest way to check those 10 damn boxes. And that's what most of them do. LSU probably checked their little boxes. Oh, look, that's good. But human beings can't fit in a little check box. You know,
one of the questions from a border region after, I think this is maybe during today's press conference, was, you mean to tell me these are the only two that are basically culpable? Because they suspended a couple of people without pay for like 21 days and 30 days, and then maybe have to go do training. So out of that entire university, these two are the ones who are going to take the hit. And then they throw Les Miles in the grease when they didn't throw him in the grease when they had an opportunity to 8 years ago.
I'd save a bunch of money. Here's the thing. They could have saved a bunch of money on a buyout. I mean, all those things. So, and I'm not saying that that's the reason to do it, but when you can get through to people when they're being obtuse about a lot of things, when you say, well, this doesn't matter, this victim, you say, well, we could save $25 million in a buyout.
Sound like a Geico commercial.
I mean, so all these things they did, and I'm not saying that the buyout's the reason you do it, but I mean, this seems to be silly,
And here comes the political move. LSU Board of Supervisors announces a new office for civil rights in Title IX. It's kind of like when they try to pass a bill and they add things to it, but by adding the civil rights because of where we are today, why now? Because they think that might make it look better, in my opinion. Are these the only two culpable parties here? LSU Board of Regents member asked after two persons were suspended. And yet this is the same school. Will Wade, the basketball coach.
Yeah.
Did I just lose me?
Armstrong. Did we lose Armstrong? Uh-oh. Our internet was just repaired today.
You're good.
Is Armstrong still? We're there?
Your monitor just went out, but you're still on the air.
Okay. All right. That's fine. So, one survivor described it as designed to put victims in position to give up because they were worn down by the process. We've heard that before. The errors that we see, and this is the one that Baylor tried to, I don't know if they tried to fight against this. I know Jason Cook will let me know if in fact they did. He came after the fact though. The errors this is something that Ian McCall, I think, tried to fight for this part. The errors that we see in athletic cases, we see them popping up in non-athletic cases as well. The answer, are athletes being treated differently in this process? The answer is no, because everybody was not being treated properly.
Well, and here's the difference is coverage. It's coverage of something. So if a regular student gets by on a sexual assault charge, nobody knows him. He's a math major. He just goes on about his business. But if the quarterback of a team gets exonerated or nobody investigates or the ball gets dropped, he's getting special treatment. No, he's just, people know about him. You don't know about the countless others that never saw the light of day in a newspaper.
I don't know what, and we had him on. Mark Schlabach, you did a cut-in with Bob Lee on Outside the Lines. Paula Levine, Brenda Tracy. Where are they? Now, some of them, their roles have changed, or they have a different beat.
I did check Brenda Tracy's Twitter. She's all over this. I mean, she is. I mean, she's called for the fire. The president, who was the president of LSU, is now the president of Oregon State and was a pretty recent hire, and she's leading the charge for his firing because of this. So, but and.
Why did I just ruin the show by bringing up a name?
I mean, you did. I mean, and I'm not trying to give her, I mean, she's a grandstander. We know that. But,
she's Jesse Jackson.
Yeah, exactly. But, I mean, you asked where is she on it.
Yeah,
she's on it.
Okay, but
I mean, she's going to be.
I still want to know why, when Baylor was in trouble and they did not know what the hell to do about it. Their crisis management was awful. Would you agree?
Yes.
If Jason Cook had been here in 14 or 15, I think Jason Cook by himself could have managed this in a lot of different ways and helped them.
I think he could have saved them a bunch of embarrassment. He could have saved them a bunch of money.
I think he would have saved them a lot of stories that were just stories because that was the easy. Like the day that Devin Chapin allegedly grabbed his girlfriend in the parking lot in front of the Simpson Hires building. They went live with that on Outside the Lines because and let's also be honest, state institution, Christian school, private school, public school. Yeah. There's no question in my mind. I used to always say, it's not true. No, I think it is.
Well,
now I know Michigan State and others have been hammered too, but every damn day, Paul, every day Outside the Lines promoted something from being a story about Baylor.
Well, you know what? Also,
the slow drip effect.
But also, what could have been the after effects of this is that book didn't sell, did it, Smokey? Okay.
Not at all.
So that book didn't sell. ESPN did this whole thing. This book didn't sell, and so now they're not like what's the E stand for? Entertainment, right? Okay.
Entertainment, sports, programming network.
All right. So their numbers are not big, and I'm not trying to talk about individual people. ESPN's got a lot of great people that work for them, but their higher ups are all about what's going to move that needle and move that. Well, Baylor did as far as Twitter and website engagement for a while. But then when they had something hard and tangible that people could go out and buy for $25 or however much a book costs, right? Nobody bought it. So now, nobody bought the Baylor book, and that one's supposed to be, it's supposed to be this whole big, expose and all these stories. Well, most of the book was rehashed or people had heard it. It wasn't new. There was no big, gigantic revelation. And so no one bought it. And so now it's not necessarily about protecting LSU because they're an SEC team. It's probably about, this doesn't move the financial needle like it used to. It's not about standing up for victims. It's not about what they're doing. Anything that makes their page or all that stuff, they've got, math geeks running through and say, this is what works and this is what doesn't. And Baylor probably proved that was a short time thing. And so now, we'll report it because we've got to, but are we going to send Paul Levine and Mark Schlabach to basically have to rent places in Waco for months at a time to write a book that nobody's going to buy? No, because it's all about, dollars and cents. And that's probably the saddest thing about all this is that on every level, instead of protecting people and reporting things and making sure that, the word gets out that sexual assault is a major problem and how do we fix it? It just comes down to how much does it cost for us to make this go away or how do we make this work for us? Yeah, it's really sad.
It's some of the responses today from the text line from Scotty. I'm sure there are more universities, colleges across the country besides Baylor and LSU that have had their same problems. It's a matter of someone is covering up or not saying anything until later. This is also from Scotty, and that's on Matt Meyer, so we'll come back to that a little bit later on. Stephen Vaughn, you guys have hit all the right bullet points. The discussion has merit. People in my personal life called me a rapist or a rape supporter. This, to me, and the topic is personal. Let me see here. Well, T-Rex brought up Brenda Tracy. And then, he got into it. Surprisingly, T-Rex got into it. Let's see here. Daniel. That's another story. We'll get to that. All right, that's for the most part some of the reactions to the LSU story as well. All right, Lady Bears play tomorrow against Kansas at 4. We have guests at 5 o'clock in John Machota, 5:30, and Jason King. Baylor baseball opens a 4-game series at the ballpark against Memphis starting today. The softball team is off. They had a nice win, Paul. Beat number 13 Louisiana 8-1. They'll play 2 on Saturday and Sunday against Tarleton State, Louisiana Tech, back-to-back days doubleheader. Washington, couple of NFC East notes. The Redskins officially release Alex Smith. Not a surprise.
No, it's not a surprise.
Eagles,
not a surprise at all.
Jason Kelsey, right?
This I'm surprised about. I thought he would
about retiring. He's going to come back. He's a good player for them.
Yeah.
He's gonna come back for at least it appears one more year.
Yeah, and they probably need it. I mean, a stopgap. They have a lot of need. The Eagles are, well, now they're kind of in a full rebuild, but that doesn't mean that you have to get rid of all your veterans. Jason Kelce helps them get a stopgap. They had so many injuries in the offensive line last year. I thought I didn't think he would retire. I thought he might leave and go play with his brother in Kansas City.
Yeah, he was really such a really good player.
But
all right, now,
obviously that's not that important to him. So
I know we have to take a break here in a couple of minutes. Greg McDermott, coach at Creighton, made a dumb comment during a conversation with his team, brought up the word plantation, stupid, not very smart, whatever you want to say, even offered to resign because of the backlash, including one of his assistants who I thought, I don't know, well, I'm going to say it, I thought he threw his head coach under the bus. And not because he said the comments hurt him. I just thought, man, are you looking to become the head coach?
Well, here's what I'm hoping in the most idealistic of situations.
He's been suspended.
What?
He's been suspended.
Yeah. In the most idealistic of situations here with Greg McDermott, and maybe he should be suspended because that was pretty careless language.
He offered but Paul, he offered to resign.
Yeah.
They let him coach against, what was it, Villanova or whoever it was. He said, the mistakes come with consequences. I accept and agree with the suspension. Why didn't they not suspend him for the game with Villanova?
Probably because of the backlash. And it's not forward thinking. So they didn't suspend him, and then
but it looks like they didn't suspend him against Villanova because that was an important game compared to what they're playing against Xavier, which is a good basketball name.
But look, I hope that we can get to a place, because I don't think we're ever going to get to real racial understanding until somebody can mess up and come back from it and not be treated like a racist forever. Because if you cast somebody out, it's not going to make them work that hard to learn how they hurt your feelings. If you hurt my feelings and I decide that I'm never going to talk to you again, eventually you're going to get to a point of, and even if you do something wrong, not just hurt my feelings, but if you do something wrong and I don't let you know how you can fix it, then you're not ever going to try and fix it because I'm not telling you how. So we need to get to a point of where.
So you mean that we have to stop cancel culture?
Yeah, I mean, there has to be somewhere where we can learn. I mean, you can't you can't just say, okay, that's it for this person.
Can you imagine Bob Huggins in that post-game comment when he couldn't remember Matthew Meyer's name? What if he would have said, that black kid?
Yeah, it would have been a big deal.
He said the white guy, right?
Yeah.
Would it not have been something that flared up for a couple of days?
Yeah, absolutely. It would have been flared up. So there needs to be, that's not that's one of these things we operate in, both things can be true. Both things can be true, that somebody says something that is racist or insensitive or just uninformed, not necessarily racist, but uninformed. And they get punished for that. Slapped on the wrist, but we don't just cast them out into the okay, you're banished to the desert now, because eventually you could get offended for everything.
If people who are racist or get caught saying things or whatever, if they're going to be banished, then it means you have to do it for everybody of every race.
Yeah.
Every mistake that's made, and not say, well, that's okay because they've been through this, or that's okay because he didn't mean it, but he did mean it.
And look, I think I truly, most of the people who believe in banishing people for life are people who have guilt of their own and feel like if you are strong enough out against it, then it'll make up for your own times where you had wrong thoughts. But
I think most people who are maybe I'm wrong, and I'm not always the smartest brick in the wall. I mean, I think a lot of people who sit there and want to do this are also the ones that want the world to be the most tolerant, and yet they're the less tolerant.
It's exactly. And part of it is historical context or where you grew up. If you grew up around nothing but white people and you didn't see many minorities in your life, you weren't necessarily a racist, but you didn't understand the differences in culture. You'd only seen what you'd seen on television or read. And so you had a certain idea and you take a step too far. That doesn't mean that you're a racist. That means that you don't have the life experience necessary to walk a mile in someone else's shoes. The best part about this is going to be eventually, hopefully we'll be able to be just, okay, I understand that, like, I didn't get to walk a mile in your shoes. I get to live your life. But now you've kind of shared your experience with me, and I understand how these things are hurtful. And then you can just leave it behind. But, like this week, I found out that apparently Dr. Seuss is a racist. I didn't know that. And maybe he was. But I've read all those books, and I never got.
I want to go buy the entire. Undertones. I want to go. Give me. Is there a place where I can go buy every Dr. Seuss book?
Yeah, I don't know, like a
baseball card collection.
Yeah, I'm sure there is. But like, let's call a bookstore that still have them.
Am I racist because I want to go buy the Dr. Seuss books?
Hey,
no,
Smokey, Smokey,
yeah.
the 31 of the top 50 selling books on Amazon right now are Dr. Seuss books.
Because they just gave them even more publicity and they didn't even need it, right? Armstrong, is that what you're saying?
I don't know what I'm saying. I'm just giving you that stat.
31 of the top 50?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. It's not, it's so, and look, and maybe because he was alive in the 20s, he did some things that were racially insensitive, but did he know any better? Mark Twain wrote one of the seminal books about overcoming racism of his era and used the N-word a lot, and now it's been banned because people don't really understand the context of Huckleberry Finn. People are not reading Huckleberry Finn because of some of the harsh racial language in it, but the guy who wrote it lived in a time where that was not harsh racial language, and Mark Twain was an abolitionist.
All right, we dipped into a lot of pretty good stuff. Armstrong, I did not know that. I wonder where it was before this week. How many of the top 50 were Dr. Seuss? Green Eggs and Ham, is that the best one ever? Is that the top seller? All right. When we come back, John Machota, theathletic.com, and the Cowboys, if you would like to add your opinion, feedback to our discussion on LSU, the way it's been covered, what's going on, how could universities go and watch what happened in Waco in 2016 or even leading up to that, and then they had to all be crapping in their pants. There's 10 more of them. There's 30 more universities, that maybe 80 that have this same thing, and they're all like, oh my God, that bomb, that thing is ticking. When we come back, John Machota, Jason King at 5:30. This is SicEm365 Radio.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine, a hidden gem in Waco, Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street. Hey, it's the weekend. Maybe you like to make yourself some cocktails, you and maybe your wife, your girlfriend, your husband, your boyfriend. Stop on by. Go through the drive-thru window. Tell them what you want. Boom, boom, boom. Quick. I mean, they are fast at the drive-thru window. It is impressive how quickly they move there. If you're a big craft beer fan, go on in the store, walk into that walk-in fridge there. Oh, my gosh. So much variety and rotated out seasonally. I bet it's March now. It's springtime. I bet you're going to start seeing a lot of new stuff rolling into the craft beer section there at Riverbend Liquor and Wine. Great selection of wine, great selection of spirits, always the newest balcones in stock. Great place, great owners, great people that really take care of their customers. Riverbend Liquor and Wine. Find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
Y'all listen up. Let me tell you something about group meals from Rudy's Barbecue. It's got all you need for all the folks you gotta feed, smoked meat, sides, and more. There's everything down to the tablecloth, just like the one that you see at the store. At a bridal shower, it's better than flowers. And a long business meeting, it'll pass the hours. It'll feed all the cousins at a family function. It's better than potluck at a church luncheon. Next time you need to feed 10 or more, call and order a Rudy's group meal.
Next in line.
Did you know that 1 out of every 4 men have symptomatic low levels of testosterone and don't even know it? And if you think you're too young to worry about it, guess again. Low T levels can make you feel tired and grumpy, cause weight gain, and wreak havoc on your sexual desire and performance. Petty Clinic Low T can set up same-day blood screening and results, so if you're tired of being tired, I challenge you to man up and Google search Low T Waco or go online pettycliniclowt.com. It's a private clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Affordable, only $150 a month, includes lab lab work, office consultation, testosterone injections, follow-up visits compared to $395 a month in Dallas or Austin, and you don't have to fight the traffic. Petty Clinic Low T as board-certified physician consultations will provide the best form of brand-strength testosterone available. Contact Petty Clinic Low T today, just off Highway 84 and Old Hewitt Drive in Woodway. Petty Clinic Low T, helping men become the high-performance men they deserve to be. PettyClinicLowT.com or Google search Low T Waco.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be part of the Waco community. We're a small family business here in Central Texas. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important. And unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. And that's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through this difficult time. So if you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. You can schedule online in minutes at idealmri.com or call 833-IDEAL-MRI.
Do you or your kids get nervous about going to the dentist? Stonewood Dental, Dr. Steve Childress, he can help.
I've spent a career taking care of patients who as children had bad experiences, and now they're adults that hate going to the dentist. If I get a kid at 3 years old and they come every 6 months and it's a happy experience, it's normal for them. Now they have an accident at 6 or 7 or 8 at school. Now they have a broken tooth or a trauma, and they have to come here. They're used to lights, they're used to water in their mouth, they're used to experience, they already trust us. It's amazing what we can do with that kid without it being a negative thing. But if I see a 6 or 7 or 8 year old that's never been to the dentist, and now they have a trauma or an unfortunate unexpected toothache, it's harder to do that for that kid and it not be somewhat of a negative experience. So bottom line is I try to teach kids and adults and teenagers and everybody the way I'd want my family treated, which is where it's a necessary part of life. You just take care of it. It doesn't have to be that big a deal.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio. It's time for our weekly segment with John Machota of The Athletic, brought to you by Pioneer Steel and Pipe, where customer service is their main focus, and best in metal, steel, and pipe for large or small projects, with 2 locations in Waco and Bryan. Family owned and operated since 1943.
And on second down, it's Williams up the middle, short of the first. The ball is out. It's scooped up by the Cowboys. On the run up the field, Aldon Smith motoring to the other end, and Aldon Smith will take it in for a Dallas touchdown.
The 5 o'clock hour is sponsored by Edward Jones Investments, with financial advisor Brad Wilson. Investing his time and experience back to you and your money during today's changing times. Edward Jones, making sense of investing.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
All right, here we go. Craig out today. Paul Catalina, David Smoak. We're remote right now. Armstrong is in the studio. SicEm365 in the corner of Martin Luther King and also 101 Elm Avenue. John Machota's on. Paul, how do we do this segment without asking about a quarterback? Can we?
I don't know. I did one with Hellman the other day, and it went fine, John. I mean, I said we're going to approach the Cowboys offseason as what I call draft scenario A, is what they'll get this deal done, and they'll have to approach it like he's their quarterback. Isn't that fair?
Sure. I know that's not what people want to talk about, but it's I don't know. You guys probably noticed this. It's like the last couple of months have just been extremely quiet from the Cowboys, more so than any other time I can remember. I mean, we haven't talked to Jerry Jones since before the season started. You see other teams having GMs, team owners, head coaches talking, just nothing from the Cowboys at all. And so because they're not doing anything, because we're not hearing from anybody, when it comes to the Cowboys, the only thing there is that anyone cares about is Dak Prescott. So I understand why people want to talk about it. I mean, it's Cowboys, one of the biggest stories in the NFL. So, I mean, I get it.
Yeah, I'm John. I'm tired of it, but I also understand it. You know, I get it. I mean, he's the key piece, right?
Yeah, and especially, I mean, free agency starting up in a little over a week. Not that they're going to do anything major, even if they did sign him, but like without having that another contract, a new contract signed by him, it just limits what they're going to be able to do in free agency because they just don't have a lot of room without being able to maneuver with his contract. So it'd be one thing if it looked like they were going to sign somebody else or they had another move to be made that if like this doesn't happen, then they'll do this. But there really isn't anything. And that regardless of if they get this deal done or not, that Dak's still their quarterback in 2021. But what it is that on that March 9th deadline for them to franchise tag players, which is probably when Dak will get tagged by them if he doesn't get, obviously signed to a long-term deal, that then you just start thinking about 2022 where, okay, so what are you going to do at the most important position if you don't have this guy? But there's just, I don't know. It's a lot of questions to be answered because then on top of it, you also have him coming off 2 ankle surgeries. So, there's not much to talk about Cowboys related if it doesn't involve Dak Prescott.
It just seems to me that if this was really legitimately contentious and not kind of an agent move and the Cowboys have pushed this all the way down to where they could, that we might be getting more fireworks out of this. Because there's not really fireworks. I mean, nobody's saying anything about it other than, we've gotten this kind of general report that talks are progressing.
Right, which we don't know if that means anything. I mean, we heard after he officially signed the tag last July that, they got back together and they started having some productive talks. But, like, none of that really matters until the final deal is done. So there can be contentious talks. But if those contentious, or even no talks at all, but if all of a sudden it just leads to one side or the other being like, fine, I'm picking up the phone right now, you get a deal done real quick, So it's all about what's being said in those talks. I mean, is it still at, the Cowboys wanting 5 years and Dak wanting 4? Is it moved to only 3 years? I mean, there's a lot of moving parts here that could be changing. And there just really is, Dak's side's been great about not leaking anything. I mean, most of the stuff you've heard is come from the Cowboys side. So it's hard to sit there and project like when this could potentially get done because you just really don't know. It could get done in an hour. It could get done maybe not until July, and maybe it doesn't get done at all.
Do you get the impression, John, that they're actually truly, timelines or deadlines make decisions, but even with union things, so sometimes they don't. But do you even get the position that they're actually truly in conversation or not?
No, I think they are. Dak's side and Dak, they want a contract that's going to make him one of the highest paid, players in the league. Obviously, we know that. But on the Cowboys side, they have to be substantial talks, even if they weren't like completely sold that Dak Prescott was this, potential, star quarterback, future Hall of Famer type that like there's just this no-brainer. Let's just get him locked up for whatever it takes. Even if they didn't feel like they were to that level with him, I think that they have to at least be serious in these talks for the sake of what else is really going to be out there for you if you don't get this deal done. Even if you have to pay a little bit more for this guy, doesn't that make more sense than what are your other options? That's my thing. I just, it's all about leverage, and I just don't know the other, options that the Cowboys have to play. What are their other cards? And none of them seem to be anything great. None of them seem to be anything that would be better than just having Dak Prescott as quarterback. So I have to believe that, Dak obviously wants to continue to play for the Cowboys. He wants to continue to be with this team. I just find it hard to believe the Cowboys aren't being serious that they want him to be back as their quarterback. They have to. So I have to believe that the talks are meaningful.
When it comes to filling out, this part of it is just getting enough guys to fill out the rest. They have a lot of free agents, and they don't have there's not a whole lot of people they can really reasonably redo deals with that would, that's going to give them a whole lot of money that would make sense. Like, does Zeke Elliott, does it make sense when, you might have to get rid of him in a year anyway because he's hit the wall and then, there's guys maybe retiring like Tyrone Crawford and Sean Lee. Like, they're in a weird spot here when it comes to, massaging their salary cap.
Yeah, they are. The only ones I can think of right now, like Amari Cooper stands out to me where, he seems to, he's coming off a big year. And he has a big contract. You can move some money around with his by restructuring. I think Zach Martin, I know he dealt with, multiple injuries last year. I still feel very comfortable about him for the long-term future. I think you could feel comfortable restructuring him. And then I can even stretch it to DeMarcus Lawrence as well. But after that, I'm pretty much done because I really don't want to touch Zeke's contract. I really don't want to touch Tyron Smith's contract. I don't want to touch Lyle Collins' contract. Definitely don't want to touch Jalen Smith's contract. So those are right there are all the big money contracts that they would have to be able to maneuver and move money. And so, I mean, hey, they did it last year. I think they got about $28-30 million by restructuring 3 deals. So, I mean, they can get some of it from there. But again, that might just be to get Dak signed. So to get him signed, then it frees up even more money if they can maneuver around with. So not like I said, not that anybody was expecting them to be major players in free agency, but this could be a big bargain time for free agency because of teams not knowing what exactly the cap's going to be at. I don't see this being a big year for teams to overpay. So I think that there's going to be a lot of bargains out there. And for the Cowboys, that could be great. I mean, hey, I don't think anybody really is thrilled to have, let's say, Jordan Lewis and Chidobe Awuzie and Xavier Woods back. But if you can get them all on some pretty cheap deals or just one of them on a pretty cheap deal, you want to do that just for depth, if nothing else. There could be players out there that you want to be able to, hey, I didn't think this guy would be there for that price. We want to be involved. You want to have money at this time of the year. And as of right now, I just don't see them being involved with anything of note if Dak Prescott doesn't have a new contract. And then if he doesn't have a new contract by then all of a sudden you're to the draft. And it's if he doesn't have one by then you got to consider drafting a quarterback because you have really no other insurance on your roster going into the following year.
The Andy Dalton most likely is going to get money somewhere else. I would think. I could be wrong on that. I don't know if I haven't heard his name or seen his name involved at all, but he's probably going to be able to make a nice chunk of money somewhere else, whether as a starter or what. Alex Smith was released by Washington. He's a bus driver. They were 5-1 with him with a very, very mediocre amount of weapons on offense. The defense carried the team. He's come back from a miracle. Would he even be somebody on Dallas's radar as the next insurance policy?
I think he absolutely has to be. Whether it's Alex Smith, Andy Dalton, anybody can say right now before free agency, they'll be able to find more money somewhere else, and they might. But it also might be about their fit. I mean, at the stage they are in their career, it might be more about the fit of what that organization that they're about to join. As long as they're willing to give them something respectable, that could be it. Andy Dalton might go to a team that has a young quarterback there that he thinks, hey, I can beat this guy out, and at least I'll get the chance to start for another year before they why they groom this guy. But for Alex Smith, it's it makes a lot of sense to me because of one. He's got a pretty decent relationship with Dak Prescott because they've had several similar coaches over the years in college. I mean, Alex Smith, quarterback coach at Utah with Dan Mullen, and then Dan Mullen was obviously, Dak's coach at Mississippi State. There's some crossover there because Dan Mullen came from that Urban Meyer staff, so they know each other through that. Then there's the fact that, one of the things that people point back to on why things never were great from the very beginning with Mike McCarthy and Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay is because Mike McCarthy he was the offensive coordinator in 2005 with San Francisco, and he wanted them to draft Alex Smith over over Aaron Rodgers. And, Rodgers never forgot that. And so, Mike McCarthy was Alex Smith's first offensive coordinator. So there's got to be familiarity there. Obviously there's something there that Mike McCarthy liked about him. And then the final piece is just the fact that, Alex Smith came back overcame this injury that it's different from Dak, but they have some similarities. A bunch of players put together a video not too long ago, congratulating Alex Smith on getting the, comeback player of the year. And Dak was one of the players that were in that video. And he talked about how, how much of, a role model he's been for Dak and just seeing him to be able to overcome that injury. So I don't know. There's a lot of things that I think make a lot of sense why he would be a great guy to have as Dak's backup this upcoming year. But if the dollars work out, I think it would make a lot of sense.
You bring up Andy Dalton, are there's going to be kind of a wave of guys like Andy Dalton have to wait for maybe this quarterback shuffle though, that's already started with, Stafford for Goff and Wentz and all that he's going to have to wait for that dust to settle, doesn't he?
Yeah. Maybe. Yeah, it seems like on the surface, yeah, I think that's a good bet. But I don't know. You just never really know with one of these teams that are drafting high that that we know they're going to take a quarterback. if, let's say maybe it's, I don't know, like let's say one of those teams that moves into the top 10, because I don't want to say it's like a Jacksonville, because I could see Jacksonville being like, no, we're starting Trevor Lawrence day one. We're throwing the keys to him, and we're just moving from there. But one of these teams that drafts a quarterback pretty high, it could be one of those things where they're like, hey, we'll sign Andy Dalton too to like a 1-year deal. He can be the starter this year. He wants to start. We're not going to have a great team. Let's let Andy Dalton start. And maybe he's interested in that because he made it very clear last year, every time we got a chance to talk to him, that he still believes he's the starter in this league. And he had some good games with the Cowboys. So I think if all things were equal and everything, or at least close to being equal, I think he would like to, come back and play for the Cowboys another year. With Dak coming off the injury, I think the Cowboys would certainly like to have a veteran quarterback behind him just in case. So, yeah, I mean, I can't rule him out, coming back to the Cowboys. That's an exercise we did for The Athletic where we all wrote about guys that, are probably gone from the team and stuff. And it was really hard for me to come up with anybody that I would said was absolutely 100% gone because, I mean, if the deal's right and it's cheap, I could see any of these guys re-signing, and Andy Dalton is in that group as well.
John Machota, theathletic.com with us. Have you heard any nibbling at all with Andy Dalton, or does he have to let all the other big names, Deshaun Watson, what they do with Dak or whoever else, they got to let that settle first?
No, I haven't heard anything about Andy Dalton with any other team. It's speculation up to this point. I think he probably will have to do a little bit of waiting there, but I mean, heck, I think he's just happy that he'll get a chance to be available at this time of year because, last year he wasn't. Cincinnati held on to him. And then they drafted Joe Burrow, and then they let him go after they took Joe Burrow. So he was basically let go after the draft. And he didn't get a chance to really go to some high, have some bidding against him. And so the Cowboys just kind of made sense for him. So I just projecting right now, I would think he'd have better offers on the table. But I guess you just never really know with, like you guys have mentioned, this quarterback carousel that's going on in the NFL right now.
Paul, anything else?
Nope.
John, thank you. Appreciate your patience with Paul. He forgot to schedule you Wednesday at 5.
Oh, no. Whoa. No. Hey.
We were having an honorarium show with Baylor's men's basketball team winning their first Big 12 championship and their first top conference title in 71 years. And I'll just be honest. You weren't on the radar, and we had a lot of guests. And I apologize, and I hope you don't ever give up on Paul.
Absolutely not. I got it. I mean, when he told me, I was like, it's understandable. And
yeah.
Hey, their basketball team's rolling right now, so keep riding with it.
Yeah, it's like if the Cowboys were to ever play in a conference championship game, we would spend the next show reminiscing.
Can you imagine that? I can't even think of that.
Hey, John, I think I told you this one time, but I were talking to Tim. We had Tim Kalish on the show once, and he was talking about his book that he wrote about covering the Cowboys in the 90s. And to me, it felt like covering the Cowboys now feels like we're covering the band after they've broken up and they've gone to rehab. We're like, yeah, sometimes they'll still play the hits, but it's not Aerosmith 1982.
No, that's a great analogy. I think about that all the time because one of the first books that I've read from beginning to end that I actually fell in love with was that Boys Will Be Boys by Jeff Pearlman. And I was just like, man, this team is just crazy. This is back in the day when he wrote it, and I didn't even ever thought I would ever move down here or anything. I'm living in Detroit, and I'm just like, man, it must have been awesome, and not awesome, but interesting all the time, wild to cover that team and stuff. They're winning all the time. There's all this other stuff. And I get down here, I'm like, yeah, I mean, they're one of the most popular sports franchises in the world, but certainly isn't like that. That's for sure.
No, it would be nice, no question, to see some sort of a tick, a pulse, and not a tease. Thanks for your time. John Machota with us from theathletic.com does a great job of covering the Cowboys. Normally Wednesdays at 5, today with us at 5 o'clock on this Friday. Baylor volleyball against Oklahoma has been postponed, canceled. And because of protocol, and I don't know which way that goes. And because of all that Baylor's dealt with, not that Oklahoma's, I think, been pretty fortunate that right up that Midwestern alley, Oklahoma State, Kansas State, Iowa State, they've all been pretty good.
It's really easy to social distance when there's nothing to do. Yeah, I took a shot at the Midwest.
Where am I from?
Nebraska. Hey, you know who's going to be madder at me for that? Even madder at me.
I don't know. You're on a few lists. Your weekend just changed.
Oh, hey, look, I know this. I'm going to get a text from somebody in your family about that.
I know. You will. You should. All right, when we come back, but that's a little bit of news, obviously, with Baylor. I'm not sure exactly who postponed it or why, but we'll get information if we can. This is SicEm365 Radio. All right. Alan Samuels, Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, Ram, Fiat. That's where I bought my new car back in May of 2020. First time I bought a car in almost 20 years. Certified by J.D. Power again this year as the winner of the Customer First Award for Excellence. March Ram Truck Month, and now I've got details on deals and discounts. Ram is the three-peat Motor Trend Truck of the Year. 2021 Ram 1500 Lone Star Crew Cab, now values of up to $7,000 or 0% for 84 months. Dodge Performance Days throughout the month of March, including the 2020 Dodge Charger XXT. Total values of $6,170 or $3,000 combo cash plus 0% for 72 months. The 2020 Chrysler 300 Touring, $6,250 total values or 0% for 84 months. 2021 Chrysler Pacifica Hybrid, total values of $7,000 or 1% financing for 72 months. It's Jeep Celebration event, including the 2021 Jeep Cherokee Latitude, $6,000 in total values or 0% for 84 months. They have discounts of $5,500 or $7,250 on the Jeep Grand Cherokee Limited or the Jeep Renegade Latitude, or options of 0% financing for a certain amount of months. It's Alan Samuels, Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, Ram, Fiat, Loop 340 east of 84 in Waco.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine has their easy-to-access drive-thru open and convenient and clean in-store location on the corner of Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. Riverbend Liquor has the best and most extensive variety of craft beer selections in Waco, and Balcones Whiskey, including single malt, pot still, baby blue, rye, brimstone, and the all-new Lineage in stock. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family-owned and operated, and a hidden gem in Waco on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street. And find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible and rewarding challenge. Hi, this is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like our free First mobile app, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. That's the First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physician of Baylor Athletics. Our doctors specialize in the diagnosis and treatment of any and all sports-related injuries. Celebrating over a decade of service in Central Texas, our doctors are equipped to handle a wide range of issues, whether it's your foot or ankle, orthopedic spine care, your hand or wrist, knee and shoulder pain, or if you're in need of our arthritis or total joint clinic. Come see us at the new Baylor Scott and White Ted and Sue Getterman Sports and Orthopedic Center. Trusted doctors at Baylor Trust, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics. Our goal is to get you back in the game.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Cam Heathcott, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Cam Heathcott, covering Conroe and Houston, 936-756-7717 or cam.heathcott@edwardjones.com. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Boozers is the wedding ring store and more. If you're ready to get engaged or already married and want to upgrade your wife's ring for a special anniversary, Boozers is the place to go. With the largest selection of premier quality diamond engagement rings and wedding rings in Central Texas. They have 7 cases with over 300 styles of rings from top designers like Natalie Kay. Choose from yellow, white, or rose gold, plus beautiful top quality loose diamonds. With an in-house jewelry, they can also custom make anything you want. Bring in a picture or drawing and let Boozers create your one-of-a-kind pendant or ring. They can even use some of your old gold and diamond jewelry to create something new. At Boozers, you'll find a great selection of quality timepieces, and Boozers is the place for expert watch maintenance and repairs too. They specialize in expert Rolex watch repair for fine jewelry, watches, custom work, and more. Go to Boozers on Valley Mills and Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio.
The SicEm365 Radio app is sponsored by Alan Samuels Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat in Waco, your friend in the car business at Loop 340 and east of 84. Come by. Let's be friends.
I had just put some goldfish in my mouth.
Well, that's very poor timing, Smokey. Here, think about it this way, just so you're not going to remember this. And we get to Jason King here in a second.
I just put some pretzels in my mouth too. So
yeah, but every break you have about 4 minutes.
Yeah, and see, I forgot because I know that, and I took a minute of that with the live endorsement for Alan Samuels.
No, you have about 4 minutes after the live endorsement.
Oh, okay.
So yes, you have 4 minutes after the live endorsement. So yeah,
Jason King in 1 second. That Baylor and Oklahoma volleyball match that was scheduled for tomorrow postponed. And let me tell you this: I want you to read between the lines here, Paul.
Okay.
Because no one's going to sit there and go, it's their fault, but all the fan bases will. 6th-ranked volleyball, Baylor volleyball Saturday's match against Oklahoma postponed due to interruption guidelines. Baylor's next match is set for Wednesday, March the 10th at Texas State.
Okay.
So they're planning on playing.
It sounds like they're okay.
All right, Jason King, SicEm365.com, SicEm365 Radio, thefield68.com. He and Ashley Hodge, unbelievable coverage of Baylor men's basketball and college basketball. Jason, how close on a scale of 1 to 10 after what you saw Tuesday in Morgantown and how they played last night in Oklahoma State against Oklahoma State is Baylor where they were before the pause?
I think I'm kind of like Jared Butler. He said 75. I'm going to give him a little more credit. I thought they were more like 80, 85%. I mean, I definitely felt like the energy and the pep in the step was back. I feel like maybe there might be a little rust in just terms of cohesion and chemistry and things like that, with some sloppiness here and there. But I tell you, the strides they made between Kansas and that West Virginia game were incredible. And probably like you guys, I mean, I thought it'd be natural for them to come out Oklahoma State game a little bit not soft, but dead, and just kind of not as sharp. After that emotional win against West Virginia, and then traveling home and having everyone pat them on the back and not getting a lot of practice time, I thought they might have been a little flat against Oklahoma State. So that's what was so encouraging to me, is just for them to come out with that balanced energy and to play pretty well. And the thing is, guys, that was a good team they beat last night. Everyone thinks, they were heading most of the game. They won by 11. Oklahoma State's good. I mean, they've won 5 in a row, 3 of those 5 against ranked opponents. I mean, they got the number 1 player in the draft. They played Baylor well last time without Cunningham. They always play Baylor well. They pretty much control that game, for most of the duration last night. That was a nice win for them. And Oklahoma State had a lot to play for. I mean, they came into that game very motivated. I think they took Oklahoma State's best shot and handled it and won by 11 points. So I'm very encouraged right now.
We spent the first segment of the show talking about Matthew Meyer and some of the things he said in the post game. Your thoughts on his growth as a player and how the coaching staff is very much kind of ridden the wave of breaking him like a horse, and then also letting him run wild a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, that definitely made me perk up a little bit when he said those things last night. And I'll be honest, I mean, I thought it was ridiculous that he played 5 minutes against Kansas as well. And I thought the reason he did was that maybe he was still feeling the effects of COVID, and they weren't confident putting him in there. When they did put him in there, he wasn't very good. He picked up 2 fouls and then came in the second half, shot an air ball, missed 2 free throws. I thought, maybe this guy's just one of those that's affected by COVID. I don't think there's any time you should ever play him 5 minutes a game. He's too good. So, I mean, rarely will I be critical of Baylor and its coaching staff, but I thought that was a mistake on their part. And apparently he felt kind of shortchanged too. And what's encouraging to me, though, and positive, is that there's so many staffs out there that if a kid comes in and tries to voice some displeasure or sits and wants to sit down and have a talk after a lack of playing time, kids may almost be scared to even do that. I've covered teams that way where kids don't feel like they have a voice or they might be criticized for it. But the fact that Scott Drew let him come in there and voice his opinion, and not only that, gave him some opportunities and listened to him and played him through, let him play through some mistakes against West Virginia, ended up winning them the game in a lot of ways. You could say, a lot of guys contributed to that win. They wouldn't have won that game without Matt Meyer. I mean, I think that speaks to just kind of the culture of the program and just the chemistry and positivity surrounding everything. So hats off to both sides on that. Good for Matt Meyer for feeling comfortable enough to say something, and good for Scott Drew for listening.
You know, I did tell the story today that I was able to do a little bit more after what Matthew said in the post game, because I thought what he said was fantastic, and I thought it said a lot about, as you mentioned, him without demanding. He was just trying to air in some thoughts, and he's responded with 2 tremendous games. That Flo Thamba was about to go into the game, and he told Jerome Tang, Coach, no, let him let him play through this. He's going to do this. And what does that say about Flo Thamba?
Dude, I mean, it's little things like that win championships, man. I mean, and it's so rare that you find when you can develop that kind of chemistry or whatever it is. The culture is probably the better word. I mean, Flo Thamba's not concerned about Flo Thamba. Flo Thamba's concerned about Baylor, and he's concerned about winning a championship. And in that moment, he recognized something that the coaches didn't, and probably made Jerome Tang do a double take and say, "Hey, you know what? You're right." I mean, and hats off to him. I mean, it's little moments like that, that when people go back and tell the stories of special seasons, it's things like that jump out. And again, things like that are so rare these days. And I saw that you posted that, David, earlier on the message board. And hats off to you for getting that nugget, because it's things like that make a huge difference.
And it's across the board. It's not Flo Thamba. Yeah. It's the story that Mark Patterson kind of got up in a grill a little bit of Jared Butler, who I think they might even be in. I don't know if they live in the same house or apartment, whatever, and kind of got him. And next thing you know, practice was okay. Forget about COVID. Not that you can't. Forget about Kansas. Let's go. And Mark Patterson may have had something to do with maybe sparking a practice as well.
It's like that. I think it was Butler last night made a comment. It's like tug of war. You need everyone pulling the rope. We're so much stronger when everyone grabs a piece of that rope and pulls it. And if Baylor, I was going to say if they win the championship, but they've already won a championship. They won a Big 12 title, and this will go down in history when they go back and start telling the stories of how this is won. I mean, people like Mark Patterson will be able to look at that and say, "Hey, I contributed to this," even though I'm a walk-on. And Flo Thamba can say, "Hey, here's how I played a part." And even a guy like Danger and guys that are redshirting, I mean, you can say, look at my energy on the bench and how I kept everyone excited, during potential lulls. I mean, this is a rare group and a rare thing that they've built, and talent and things like that can go a long way. But the cherry on top is when you can have this kind of chemistry and this kind of character on a team when there's not one guy that's poisoning, or even potentially poisoning in that locker room. Everyone's on the same page. It's a fun thing to cover. It's a fun thing to watch.
By the way, Paul, if you don't mind, I need to break in. Zach Pyron, who, remember, Grayson Grundhafer was talking about the young man from Pinson Valley in Alabama, the quarterback. He committed to Baylor like in the last 5 or 10 minutes. So just an update on that. That's a big deal. I know sorry about breaking into Jason, but that's something Grayson said might pop pretty quickly. They just offered him and he committed. They needed a quarterback in that class. Paul, I'm sorry, back to you.
Jason, outside of West Virginia, who we know is very talented and could probably make a run, do you see anybody else in the Big 12 being able to get hot enough to really overcome some of these top-level seeds that are going to be in the tournament?
It's funny about West Virginia. I was on such a high after Baylor won that game the other day, not just because Baylor won, but just the way they won. It was so cool. And then when I finally calmed down, I thought, man, West Virginia's good. Like, I didn't know they were that good. I was as impressed with them almost as I was with Baylor the other night. So I definitely think, their ceiling's high. The question is, can they play that well, for 6 games in a row? And I've said it all season. I still think that Texas, if you were to rank if you were to rank teams in the Big 12 based on their A game, like if everyone's playing their absolute best, forget record. If you get the absolute best out of every team, who's the best team? Other than Baylor, I think Texas is the team that would scare me the most if I were to match up with them against
up against them in the tournament, just because their talent and their ceiling is so high that they've been playing well lately. The win last night was nice for them. They've had some good moments. They seem to have a good little vibe going right now. They're a scary team. I think Baylor, Texas, and West Virginia are the three best teams in the league. I think Kansas can do some damage just because of their coaching staff. I think personnel-wise, I don't know if I put them quite up there with those other teams, but they can. They're a Sweet 16, maybe even Elite 8 caliber team, depending on matchups. This is a great league, and heck, hey, how am I forgetting Oklahoma State? I mean, everyone might be a little bit mundane on them after last night when they weren't really in the game for the most part, but still a really good team, a team that's been hot. And when you have the number one player, or the number one talent at least in the country, in Cade Cunningham, you can beat anyone on any given night.
Yeah, he's special, and it's good news that it looks like it may be a sprained ankle, although sprained ankles can linger for quite some time. I thought there was a point in that second half where he was about to hit like 20 of the next 22 points, and there was that one critical turnover. I don't know if it was Jonathan Chamuchachua that or whatever. Yeah, it was kind of like he kind of lost control of it. Paul, you asked the question to Jared Butler in the postgame, and Jason, you don't mind. It was down to 4. And in a matter of a heartbeat, it was 9. Mm-hmm. Isn't that what makes this team so deadly? And it was set up by what they do on defense?
Absolutely. I mean, with that turnover you're talking about, I felt like, I don't know if Jonathan forced that or if Cade just dribbled it off his foot, but whatever it was, Baylor capitalized. I think that was the play where they came up with the ball past the head to Teague, who made a really impressive layup with a Euro. Then they came back down and forced another turnover. I think Vital came up with the ball. They got it down to Teague and then to Butler in the corner, and he hit a 3. And like you just said, it went from like 4 to 9 in about 30 seconds. And I felt like at that point, I mean, I was trying to get a little worried at that point because Cade was so hot. But at that point, I felt like Baylor won the game. And you're right. I mean, I think it goes, with that depth and those fresh legs and that defense. I mean, that it's just hard for teams to counter that for 40 minutes.
Paul, anything else?
Nope.
All right. Jason, thank you. Will you be in Kansas City?
Yeah. I will.
We're going to lean on you like Baylor leans on Matthew Meyer.
I want more than 5 minutes now. I want more than 5 minutes.
That's kind of appropriate because sometimes we've forgotten about Jason King.
Yeah. And I need to have some conference calls to get that thing straightened.
Yeah,
thank you for listening.
I know. Man, you're as good as it gets at covering college basketball.
Okay, Jason.
And I love Lon John Silver's too. So I mean, like, there's a lot of parallels here.
Hey, all right. Do you have for people who have not been to Kansas City? Do you have because you lived there for a long time? I know. Do you have a barbecue hit list you have to do?
Yeah, I mean, I mainly just, if I was going to recommend one place, it would be called Joe's of Kansas City, and I would get the rib and one meat platter with ribs and pulled pork. If you want to go somewhere a little nicer that's not in a gas station, I would go to Q39, and I would get burnt ends and ribs. So that's kind of how I do it. And then my last thing would be wings at a place called Peanut. Those are my spots. Yeah.
You and Drew Davison both recommended that to me, like text next to text.
That's it.
So
that's wings on a whole new level. It's not the drummy, it's not the flat, it's both of them combined together.
It's the craziest thing, man. They have such great, and burn ends is something that our good friend Kyle Louie got me hooked into.
Oh yeah,
who cooks brisket about as well as anybody. Thank you very much, Jason. Have fun in KC.
All right, guys.
We'll be leaning on you again. We will absolutely lean on you for a lot of coverage and feedback and on comments and stuff, much more. This is SicEm365 Radio.
March means it's time to celebrate 22 years of serving Waco and Central Texas with big savings on all cars and trucks on the lot at Richard Carr Buick GMC Cadillac.
All 2021 Buicks have deep discounts. Save $4,500 on 2021 Buick Encore. Save $3,500 on 2021 Buick Encore GX or a 2021 Buick Envision, and save $6,000 off a 2021 Buick Enclave, or qualified buyers can get 0% financing for 72 months. If you want the best truck, you want a GMC. You can find savings like $8,000 off a 2021 GMC Sierra, or save $6,500 on a 2021 GMC Acadia or Terrain. Richard Car Motors is your local family dealer who wants to earn your business with great prices, free oil changes with a new purchase, and priority warranty service on all vehicles purchased. Come by our clean and disinfected showroom to take a test drive, or let us bring a test drive to you. Right now, during the big basketball tournament, come by and take a shot to win additional prizes. It's the big 22-year anniversary sales event going on now at Richard Car. Offer ends 3/31/21. Some may not qualify for financing or full discount. See dealer for details.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302.
At Marco's Pizza, get craveable pizza made the Italian way, with dough made from scratch, an original sauce recipe, 3 fresh signature cheeses, and premium toppings you love, served hot and safe. Right now, you can get unlimited medium one-topping pizzas for just $6.99 each. Why stop at just one? Order with your app or at marcos.com for curbside, carryout, or delivery today. Marco's, pizza lovers get it.
Learning to navigate life in the COVID-19 world has been a struggle, and where and how to get tested has been one of the biggest challenges. Impact Health Labs has your answer. If you need mass testing for your office, church, dormitory, or school, Impact Health Labs is who to call. They will come to you, conduct the testing at your location, and have the test back within 24 hours. Most major insurance accepted, meaning your out-of-pocket cost is low. So no more waiting by the phone for days to find out the results. Impact Health Labs was founded by 3 Army licensed and credentialed medical professionals. They believe in accuracy, efficiency, and doing the job right. Call 254-744-6233 to set up your group screening today. Impact Health Labs, on-site, prompt, and accurate, taking COVID-19 head-on. Again, that number is 254-744-6233 or online at impacthealthlabs.com.
Are you ready to save big on a new 2020 Chrysler 300 Touring? A car with superior craftsmanship and quality. During the President's Day event at Allen Samuels, save big and drive a new 2020 Chrysler 300 Touring with special values of $7,250 or 0% for 72 months and $2,000 in combo cash right now. Visit the customer award-winning Allen Samuels located at 201 West Loop 340 in Waco to see the incredible 2020 Chrysler 300 Touring. It's the best President's Day event going on now at Allen Samuels, your friend in the car business. See dealer for details. All offers have credit requirements.
With more than 160,000 alumni worldwide and counting, the Baylor family is growing. And through the university's expanded Baylor alumni program, the family is growing closer. With hundreds of local volunteers planning events in cities and towns around the country, you can gather with fellow Bears no matter where you are. So, get connected, get something started, get involved, and make plans to get together with Baylor alumni. Visit us at baylor.edu/alumni.
It takes time to reach goals. It's a truth that applies to more than sports. It goes for your financial goals as well. You work hard for your money, and you deserve an investment strategy that lines up with your game plan. And Tom Albers, your Edward Jones financial advisor, can help. If your financial investments aren't putting forth the effort you desire, stop by today for a financial review. Tom Albers, 4301 Lakeshore Drive, 254-776-7605. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio. Are you a SicEm365 super fan? Then try out our premium subscriptions at SicEm365.com.
All right, we are working on, well, we do have him. Zach Byron, he's young man from Pinson Valley in Alabama, and he was offered by Baylor, and he responded quickly. As we talked with Grayson Grundhafer earlier, who does a great job of covering recruiting for us on SicEm365.com, Zach has committed to Baylor, and he joins us now on SicEm365 Radio with Paul, Catalina, David Smoak. Zach, thank you for responding. My goodness, as quickly as you did, we appreciate it right before we hit the weekend. So can you kind of take us through the timeline of when Baylor got on to you and the response, the offer, and the timeline of saying yes?
Yes, sir. Thank you guys for having me. So Coach Bell reached out to me a few weeks ago, and we've been talking for a while, and then they offered me early this week, and They said they wanted me to be the guy. I was the first quarterback they offered with Coach Grimes and the new coaching staff, the offensive coaching staff, and we are extremely excited about it. My little brother, he's been a Baylor fan ever since we can remember. So we got out here. We're in Waco right now. We got here last night. We toured the campus today, and me and my family, we all just fell in love with it, and we love the school, the Christian aspect it brings, and we just love everything about Baylor. We're extremely excited.
So now your little brother's not going to let you change your mind if you wanted to. You're stuck.
No, sir.
Zach?
Yes, sir. 100% committed. Yes, sir.
This was fast. I mean, this came very, very quickly. And what was Sean Bell's reaction, or Coach Aranda, Coach Grimes, the new offensive coordinator? Can you kind of take us through all that?
Yeah, we got the offer, and I just want to go somewhere where we can win, and that's what we're going to do with Baylor. We're going to win. We're going to win some Big 12 championships, national championships. And when I told them all that and I was committed, they were all extremely excited. They were going crazy. Coach Grimes was running around blowing his whistle through the whole weight room and stuff, and Coach Bell was going crazy. So.
What did Sean Bell tell you when he first contacted you? You know him. He played quarterback at Baylor, and he's now a part of the staff and has been for the last, I guess you could say 3 or 4 years. He's from here. What did he say to you that on that initial conversation?
He said he's looking for a guy with a chip on his shoulder that is strong in his faith, and that's what I felt. That's what I felt he was describing me. And then when I told him what I was looking for, he said it was describing him. And Coach Bell is somebody that's been in my shoes and is going to be in my shoes, and he's an extremely great coach, and me and him have a good relationship already, and he was a big reason I committed, just already having the relationship we have, and I'm excited to work with him and get to know from the best.
So who's here in Waco with you right now? Again, I know you mentioned, who else is here in Waco with you?
My father and my mother and my little brother.
Yeah, the little brother, Paul. That was the closer.
Hey, if you and family had decided to take this trip and told his little brother, hey, you got to stay at a friend's house or with, relatives, whatever, how would that have gone over, not taking him to Baylor with you?
He would have been highly mad. He probably would have not talked to us for a few weeks.
He's just happy. He's going to get a lot of free gear out of this. That's what he really wants. Clearly,
hey,
that's what we're trying to tell him. He's happy about it, but he doesn't know. He doesn't even know yet.
Okay.
Okay. Now, Zach, tell us a little about you. 6'3", 215. Obviously,
yes,
you're rated 3-star, and I know that means you have a chip on your shoulder. You probably should be a 4. Maybe you want to be a 5. Bottom line is, I hate the star system. I want to know if somebody can play football. Tell us a little bit about you as a football player.
I'm with you. I hate the stars. I feel I'm as good as the best guy in the country. I've been starting on varsity since my 9th grade year. I won 2 state championships, and then I moved to Pinson Valley this year. I won my 3rd state championship. I've only lost 2 high school football games. I've won 42. I'm going for my 4th ring this year. I have a huge chip on my shoulder, and I'm just here to prove everybody that I'm the best and I can play with the best. And Coach Bell said that's what he wants to help me achieve, and that's why I fell in love with it, because they all matched my intensity, and they were what was going to help me reach my goal.
Do you remember the wins or those 2 losses more?
The 2 losses.
Yep, that's the part that eats at you, right? Does that sometimes not let you sleep at night, or when you're in the weight room, or when you're working out, or it's too early and you don't want to get up, and that's what feeds the animal? And maybe give me an example of that.
Yes, sir. The 2 losses motivate me more than winning my 4th ring does.
4th ring, Paul.
4th. I played in 1 high school playoff game. 1. It was fun. I mean, we lost. I mean, it was so fun until we lost the game, but,
42-2 as a starter. You started playing your freshman year. You started at varsity your freshman year. What's it mean to you to have this done? You came in, you're in town. This has happened so quickly. It's kind of, I would think, maybe even like a blur. Can you kind of explain what it's been like? But what does it mean to you that this is over and so quickly?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a blur. We've had it in God's hands from day one, and that's been the biggest reason we felt it was done this fast, because it was, we prayed about it. We've been patient with everything going on, and when Baylor offered, we just felt something about it, so we decided to take a trip out here. We prayed about it, and we're in the spot we're in now, and we feel Baylor fits my needs more than any school there is, and we're just extremely excited about it. It's a big weight lifted off our shoulders, and now I can just go focus on winning my 4th ring, getting better this offseason, and then after that, being done, getting here in January and being able to help build something at Baylor.
You're in a state that has really played a lot of good football. We know about some of the traditions there, and obviously what Alabama has created with talent. You're coming to a state that has amazing history in Texas high school football. What do you know about the state of Texas in football?
And there's debates on which is the best state for football, and Texas has always been number one. All the TV shows you could think of for football have been filmed in Texas, all the movies in Texas. So I'm just excited to be able to be a part of Texas football in general and just see what it's like.
You sleep well tonight, you think? You think you'll sleep well, or are you going to be one of those nights because of the decision? You're so excited, there's adrenaline. It's like winning a championship. You may be so wound up you can't sleep.
I think I'm going to be wound up. I'm extremely excited about it. I can't stop smiling.
Yeah, you sound happy, Zach. And I know that Baylor fans, they just got the news. And for you to turn around and respond to my request, I appreciate you, man. That means a lot to us as well to get you on, because we're about to close out the week. Have you been watching Baylor football much over your lifetime? Is there anything you remembered early on when you first remembered anything about Baylor?
Yes, sir. When I was little, it was Robert Griffin and Coach Bell was before that, and those are the guys I remember. And then I know Baylor's been pretty good. I know 2 years ago there in the Sugar Bowl, I watched that game against Georgia, and I've always kept up with Baylor. I've always been fascinated with them, and now I'm just excited to be able to go play for them.
Okay, hey, go have fun with the family and whoever, of course, is watching you, and all the Baylor coaches are thrilled. You can see the reaction as well. Thank you for your time, Zach. We appreciate it. Thanks for jumping on. Good luck. Enjoy the weekend, and be careful, okay? Be careful on the way home.
Sir. Yes, sir. Thank you guys for having me on.
How about that, Paul? That's pretty quick. Zach Pyron, he jumped on with us about as quickly as he jumped on the offer. And thank you to Zach Pyron. He's from, again, Pinson Valley in Alabama. 42-2 as a starter. He's got a chip on his shoulder. 3-star quarterback's a pretty good ranking. He thinks he's as good as anybody in the country.
Well, I like a good 3-star quarterback, because that's somebody that, there's going to be a chip on their shoulder about that. Plus, people think they have room to grow and then they have to prove something. But yeah, a guy who's 42-2 and has won state championships at 2 different levels and a jump. I mean, he jumped up big time. I mean, he went from 2A to 6A and still won.
Yep.
Sometimes that can be too much for somebody to wrap their arms around in 1 year.
Yep.
And he certainly did it. So
Girl Friday 85 sent a message, and this is as I'm asking him the question. You got to ask him, Texas football versus Alabama football, high school, which is better? And he responded to that. He knows the tradition. He also knows the power of Alabama, what they've got.
But she said high school. Yeah. College football, sorry, folks. I mean,
Yeah, I know. No, truth hurts, right?
Yeah.
All right, Paul, 5:56, man. I tell you what, thanks to Zach Pyron. Hope you enjoyed it. If you're a Baylor fan, we got him on as quickly as we did. It's time for Paul's last of the 5 to wrap up the week that's been.
This is Paul Catalina's Top 5 at 5:55.
All right, Smokey, it's spring training, and it's Friday. So Fun Friday intersects in this fashion. So, top 5 baseball movies. And I actually expect some spirited debate on this from the internet world. Jack has only seen 1 of these movies. Armstrong has only seen 2 of these movies, right?
That's correct.
Okay.
And one of them's real weird.
So Smokey, I don't know how many of these you've seen. I'm sure you've seen a couple, even though I know you're not a movie guy. But number 5, The Sandlot. I mean, there's no better movie about youth and baseball and what life used to be like before we had streaming services and video games and all that, where you just go outside and play ball with your friends. It's a heartwarming movie.
I guess I'll tell you what, even at my age, when I drove into Waco and I started looking around for places to stay, and I remember driving by the ballparks over near Waco High off of Lake Air, or actually it's off of New Road, and then also the ballparks at a couple. I just love the Little League ballparks, and I really wish I had more time in my life to where I could go and enjoy sitting down, get a box of popcorn, get a Diet Coke, and just sit there and watch Little League baseball.
Yeah, and the Sandlot's not even about Little League. It's about pickup baseball. You and your buddy.
Yeah, I know. Like we go out and have we called it a home run derby.
Yeah, I mean,
that's what we go out to the park to be 8 of us, 4 of us. We just go play all day. Yep.
Yeah. All right. Number 4, a movie that I, to this day, and I've seen it multiple times. In the last scene, I will bawl my eyes out in. Ball. Field of Dreams. And
Paul.
Oh, my
cry,
God.
like tears.
Well, the last scene of the movie, I mean, he gets to talk to his dad again, and and then this, and he just says, I'm getting emotional talking about it. He said, "Hey, Dad, you want to have a catch?" And he said, "I'd love that." And they have a catch, and it's everybody who's lost their father's kind of dream to get to just do that one more time. So, and the movie's fantastic anyway. It's great until that point, but it's great. And that's the first Kevin Costner movie on this list of 2, and he's done 3 baseball movies, one of which didn't make the top 5, but it's still pretty good.
That's okay. Speaking of that, and I know we're running over as we always seem to do because Armstrong's lost control of the show with us being all.
I don't know what that's about.
And I know he's ready to go out and hit shorties and scruffs or whatever tonight.
No.
All right, so I sat down. It was, I think, during the icy storm conditions, and there was I thought it was BET, but it was a Kevin Costner All Day of Yellowstone. That's a really good series. Have you ever watched it?
No, I know a lot of people who have. I've heard it's really good.
It really
I like
is.
Kevin Costner.
I haven't watched it, but I watched like 5 or 6 episodes in a row, and okay.
Yeah. All right, number 3. Possibly the funniest movie on this list, Major League. I mean, Charlie Sheen, Wesley Snipes, Tom Berenger, Joe Boo. I mean, just great stuff. If you've not seen Major League, give it a watch. Number 2, this one I think you probably have seen, Smokey, The Natural.
Yeah. That's another Costner one, right?
No, that's Robert Redford.
Robert Redford. Okay. I'm sorry.
Is that which 2 have you seen?
That's my movie knowledge right there in the middle of it.
I haven't seen that. I just know Robert Redford, but the Field of Dreams is the one that I said was very weird. I did not like that movie.
You didn't like it?
It was just a strange concept.
Is that when they walk? The guy walks out of in the outfield from the hedges.
Yes.
Joe Jackson. Yeah,
that's a little weird.
Yeah, thank you.
Fine. All right. And number one, and this is a movie I believe to be the best sports movie of all time too, because it has a very accurate look at what minor league baseball life is, and the way the comedic timing of this movie is great. The actors are great in it. This is the other Kevin Costner movie. It's Bull Durham. Kevin Costner is so good in this movie. So is Tim Robbins. So dang good in this movie, and it's very quotable. It's got great lines. It is the baseball movie. It's not it's a romantic comedy at the core of it, but there's no over romanticism of all this other stuff. It's nuts and bolts baseball, and it's just great. It's just great. This scene right here, look, the one he picked right here. I'll tell you right now what the line is. I can see on the screen. He had told Nuke LaLoosh, the pitcher, to hold the ball like an egg. He said, "I held it like an egg." He goes, "Yeah," and he scrambled that SOB, didn't he? And he hit it over the fence.
That was Timothy Robbins. Is that right?
Tim Robbins, yeah.
You didn't even include my number 1 baseball movie.
Oh, it's Rookie of the Year, right?
Rookie? No. My number one is Pride of the Yankees.
Oh,
okay, yeah.
That's my favorite. And also The Rookie.
The Rookie. Okay, yeah.
I like that one too, but that's just because it's a Disney movie and I grew up watching it,
Yeah, absolutely. I thought you were going to say Rookie of the Year or Little Big League or something like that.
No.
All right. So, yeah, Pride of the Yankees is a great one. But, yes, we'll put this up on Twitter, and people feel free to debate me and tell me what I left out or where I'm wrong about. Apparently, the world is more split on Field of Dreams than I am, but I love it.
Yeah, Field of Dreams. I mean, I'm not saying it wasn't a good movie, and a lot of these are good. These are all Sandlot.
Oh, you're gonna get some hate on that one, buddy.
Yeah. I even like Sandlot.
Okay, I'll tell you what I'll try to do. I'll try to get myself to look at a trailer of Sandlot. Because I don't even remember ever watching that.
I mean, look, Smokey, it's kind of your youth. I mean, it takes place in the 60s.
No, I know. We used to be able to. And again, it used to be able to walk backwards in the snow all the way to school and back. Yeah. But we used to be able to get up, maybe mow the yard, do a couple of things that, oh, my God, but do them. Weed the backyard. We would then go to the closest ballpark we could find, no matter if I was 8 or 12. Mm-hmm. And we'd take a couple of bats with us, some balls and gloves, and we would just be there all day.
You had ballparks in the Midwest?
Well, I grew up, remember, military kid.
I didn't know there's things to do out there.
Virginia, Arizona, stop. Bring Paul all the way back to the fact that he took a shot at the Midwest. But everyone, no. I love
Kansas City. That's why I love Kansas City so much. It's this oasis in the wasteland of nothing.
Yeah. Okay. You screwed that up. All right. Hey, that's not very good, Paul. Not very smart. That closes out
Mickey Mantle's in Oklahoma City. It's the greatest steak place ever in the middle of nothing. All right.
Baylor women tomorrow at 4 at Kansas. Baylor men Sunday. I think it's at 3 against Texas Tech and so much. Baylor baseball tonight against Memphis. Volleyball canceled. Softball's in Louisiana. There's a lot going on. Tennis Sunday. The men at home against Arizona State. Thanks to Grayson Grundhafer. How about him talking about Pyron? He committed later in the day. Rob Dowster, John Machota, Jason King, Zach Pyron from Pinson Valley, Alabama. And also thanks to Matthew Meyer, Jared Butler as well. For Paul Catalina, is Jack there in the studio? Is Jack around?
No, okay. He's not.
Armstrong Sims. Craig, hopefully back with us along with everybody else on Monday. I'm David Smoak. Thank you to all of our sponsors. Thank you for watching and listening whenever you do. This is Sic'em. Have a great weekend. Sic'em365 Radio. Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Ideal MRI is a small family business right here in Central Texas. We're open to support you while lowering the cost of healthcare bills. When you need an MRI, ask your doctor for an Ideal MRI. Visit us at idealmri.com or call us at 833-IDEAL-MRI.
Texas Farm Bureau Insurance has been proudly serving Texans across the state for over 60 years. Call 254-772-8090 to find an agent who will provide a free review of your auto, home, and life coverage.
It's the President's Day event at Allen Samuels with deals on the 2020 Jeep Renegade Latitude with total values of $6,750 or 0% for 72 months plus $2,500 in combo cash. Shop AllenSamuelsDCJ.com. See dealer for details. All offers have credit requirements.